Sellout crowd here at Wrigley Field. Bright skies overhead. The wind blowing in off Lake Michigan. A veritable perfect day to pitch. We'll see how Kerry Wood and Mike Soroka handle their opponents today as the Cubs and White Sox hook up in Game 1 of the Crosstown Classic this weekend. The White Sox come in with the best record in baseball, a whopping 10.5 game lead over the Cleveland Indians in the American League Central. And Jerry Manuel, if voting were to be tabulated today, would be the manager of the year for this White Sox team. They have had a masterful first half of the season, and they've done it with a very balanced batting order. They have Ray Durham and Jose Valentin 1-2 at the top of the order. Then it's Frank Thomas having a resurgent year, playing first base. No DH in effect in the National League ballpark. Maglio Ordonez on his way to the All-Star team. Herbert Perry acquired from Tampa Bay on waivers. Chris Singleton is in center. Carlos Lee in left. Mark Johnson behind the plate. And there's Soroka pitching, batting ninth against Cub flamethrower Kerry Wood.
And there is a scouting report on Kerry Wood. He has thrown better with each and every outing. His control has been a plus, especially with his slider, now that he is spotting that slider, and he uses it when he gets behind hitters. So he's got to deal with the two switch hitters at the top.
And they're two switch hitters, Steve, that aren't your prototypical leadoff guys. You've got Durham and Valentin, who aren't real patient, who don't walk a lot, but do hit for a lot of power for 1 and 2 hitters.
Well, today's a day, Chip, where you just don't want to walk anybody because that wind is howling in at 15 miles an hour. It's out of the east. It's 74 degrees at game time, but it's a very good pitcher's day.
So Durham stands in and takes ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Durham at .282, 13 home runs, 47 runs driven in, and carrying a 6-game hitting streak into the ball game today.
Been a much better hitter from the left side, and most of his power is as a left-hand hitter. Same thing with Valentin. All 13 of his home runs have come from the left side.
Durham way back in that batter's box, looks at the off-speed pitch outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Durham and Ordonez have absolutely killed the Cubs' lifetime. Durham has hit over 400 against the Cubs in interleague play. But he goes fishing and is down on strikes for out number 1. Good start for Kerry Wood. A blazing heater takes care of Durham.
Kerry went up and out of the strike zone, and this White Sox team, especially at the top, that is not horribly patient, sees Ray Durham expand that strike zone and go down on strikes.
So here's Jose Valentin. This guy really has made this White Sox ball club. A .272 hitter, as we mentioned. Another switch hitter for Jerry Manuel. He hits that one a mile high into shallow right. Eric Young drifts out. Sosa comes in. EY staggering under the breeze, makes the play. 2 down, again hacking early in the count, and a look quickly at the Cubs defense.
We'll take a look at the GM Cub defense as we swing around. Hill, Buford, and Sosa left to right. Nieves, Gutierrez, Young, and Grace in the infield. Joe Girardi behind the plate, and Kerry Wood on the hill.
Don Baylor hoping the Cubs can somehow turn it around. And Frank Thomas greeted with a cascade of boos. Base is empty, 2 outs to Frank, who has made a revolutionary change in his batting stance, and it's produced revolutionary results for the White Sox. He's opened things up.
Well, Frank was a little concerned that he was taking too many fastballs on the inside corner, that he was locking himself in, decided that if you open up that front foot, he could have command of that inside corner, and it has paid great dividends.
Surprised he didn't make the All-Star team with the kind of first half he's had?
Oh, I think maybe some residual effect from a few years back when Frank was less than enthusiastic about his All-Star selection. I think that might have had something to do with it.
That ball hit to the right side. Young from the outfield grass, and Kerry Wood has a 1-2-3 top half of the first inning. Here come the Cubs. Young, Gutierrez, and Grace scoreless after a half inning at Wrigley. Well, it's not Beanie Baby Day at the ballpark today. In fact, you wouldn't need a Beanie Day promotion for the Cubs and the White Sox. A sellout crowd, standing room only on hand as the White Sox failed to score in the first, and Don Baylor's Cubs line up this way here at home. Eric Young leads things off at second, followed by Ricky Gutierrez at short. Mark Grace at first. Sammy Sosa is in right. Glenn Adam Hill in left field. Jose Nieves, Damon Buford, Joe Girardi, and Kerry Wood close out the Cubs starting lineup.
There's a look at Mike Soroka. He is a control pitcher, and he has to change speeds. He would like to get hitters to chase his changeup if he could, but he has been a pretty tough pitcher this year. A record of 8-6, an ERA below 4 in this day and age. When you're at 378, you're doing a pretty good job. As you look at Jerry Manuel, as he looks out at his very young but very talented White Sox team.
And Soroka part of that process. He beat the Red Sox last weekend at Comiskey Park. Gave up 1 run on 4 hits in 8 innings to earn that 8th win of the year.
He's also won 5 of his last 6, so he's been one of the hottest pitchers on a team that has been red hot up and down their order.
Eric Young, the Cub leadoff man, has slumped a bit. He's hitless in his last 13 tries and takes a ball. EY had a very good first half, but picked a bad year not to have a world-beating season offensively. That's out of play for strike 2. 1-2 the count.
When Soroka's right, he's going to throw a lot of ground balls. That's going to hold him in good stead in this ballpark for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, with the wind blowing in, it's really tough if you make a mistake to hit it out today. Number 2, you got some very thick grass in the infield. It's going to slow all the ground balls down.
That's what happened on Frank Thomas's shot toward the right side in the first inning. And Young made the play from the outfield grass. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Soroka.
Bear in
From
mind,
Soroka to Young, a big part.
The White Sox have been able to put together a banner season without a particularly good defense.
EY flirts with an extra base hit. Now, there are a lot of fans on the south side who don't want to talk about that, Steve. They say that, yes, the White Sox commit errors. Yes, they're tied with Oakland for the most errors in the American League. But in fairness and in truth, those errors haven't caught up with them, at least not yet.
Well, quite obviously, if you're pummeling people offensively, then you don't worry about errors. But later in the year, if it gets tough and tight, then you might have to.
Durham to his left, and it's his first chance flawlessly. And Eric Young 0 for his last 14. 1 man down. White Sox had given up 51 unearned runs on those 76 errors.
And the White Sox were quick to tell you that although it has not been a good year defensively, that when they've made the plays, they've won. And when they have to make the plays, they do. And if that's the case, well, then they will continue to have a great year.
Gutierrez shoots that one towards second again. He has really been consciously putting the ball in play to the right side. And quickly 2 up, 2 down. A look at that sometimes shaky Sox defense.
Well, take a look at the GM Sox defense of Lee, Singleton, and Ordonez. Perry, Valentin, Durham, and Thomas in the infield. Mark Johnson behind the plate. Mike Soroka on the hill. And Valentin, although at times has been shaky, does get to an awful lot. He's got very good range at shortstop.
And again, that's why I feel he really has made this team. Very good offensive player and a veteran on the infield. The team with Durham up the middle.
And the trade with Milwaukee has helped make this team with Cal Eldred and Jose Valentin coming over. Eldred 10-2 and Valentin having a real good year.
Well, here's Mark Grace, who has plenty of company for this struggling Cub offense. Grace just 4 hits in his last 38 at bats. And Grace is very befuddled by the problem. He says he's getting good counts, getting pitches to hit, but he's not hitting them. He's average down to 284.
He's got a good count here. But he took a swing at a pitch he probably would have hit had he been swinging the bat better and fouled it straight back. So now from 2-0, he finds himself at 2-2.
Cubs come in at 33-50, 17 under, losers of 12 of 16. The 2-2 popped up left side, and Perry gives chase, runs out of real estate, and Grace will swing again with the count even. Central Division standings, the Cardinals with a big lead over Cincinnati. The Cubs have dropped to 5th, a game behind Milwaukee, and only ahead of the Houston Astros. The 2-2.
Cincinnati won what for them was a huge game last night. Made the difference between 9 and 11 games in the standings. But Cincinnati has their work cut out for.
Again, the 2-2 pitch. And Grace goes down on strike. Soroka pitching very well in the first inning as well. White Sox nothing, Cubs nothing, with all-star Magglio Ordonez set to lead things off. Well, friends, if you have tickets for this series, tomorrow we encourage you to take part in the Cubs-White Sox toy drive. Cubs wives, along with the White Sox wives, will host the toy drive starting tomorrow. Any individual that makes a donation of a new unwrapped toy will get a raffle ticket, good for a chance to win autographed Cubs and Sox items. Cubs and Sox wives will collect the toys at all of the gates at Wrigley before the game. That's tomorrow when the White Sox and Cubs battle in Game 2 of the Crosstown Classic. And if you have any more questions, call 773-404-Cubs. And here is the man of the year on the south side, Magglio Ordonez. And he pops the first wood pitch out of play for a strike. What a player this guy is. And when you told me that he finished 20th in the American League All-Star voting, I, like everyone else, had to be shocked.
Well, I'm not sure he finished 20th. I know that he was 20th for quite some time, but he certainly finished up the track. What a terrific hitter he is.
Puts that one in play to short. Ricky, good play, good throw, one down. 4 up, 4 down for Kerry Wood. And Ordonez, keep this in mind, has a 10-game hitting streak working in today's ball game. 1 up, 1 down for Herbert Perry.
Well, Kerry knows that he can afford to be a little more aggressive today. With a most unusual wind this time of year, you very rarely see that wind coming in off the lake and blowing as hard as it's blowing today. But as long as you have that much of an advantage, you might as well go right at the hitter, stay ahead. If you do make a mistake up in the strike zone, most likely the wind is going to bat it straight down.
What an acquisition Ron Schuler made when he got Herbert Perry from Tampa Bay for nothing. Off the waiver wire. 1 ball, no strikes. Here's a guy hitting .304, 5 homers, 21 driven in, and as long as he hits, he's going to play at third base.
Well, Tampa Bay stacked their lineup with offense, and Herbert Perry was the odd man out. But he's been a very good player since coming over, and that time expanded that strike zone, swinging the fastball up over his head. But he is the reason why they won that 13-inning extravaganza against Kansas City. Hit a 2-run homer, and the Sox came out on top.
Kerry is going right after these White Sox hitters. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The last time out against Milwaukee, Kerry was also very aggressive, threw the ball exceptionally well, only to find himself coming out on the short end of the stick because the bullpen could not get the job done. But Kerry went into the 8th inning, and he wants the high heat here.
And it's lined over Eric Young into right field for a hit. So Perry climbs the ladder. EY played him too low, and the White Sox have their first base runner of the day. So Wood goes to the stretch for the first time on the afternoon.
I think Joe Girardi wanted this one even higher than it wound up. It was letter high. Perry goes up and gets it, and comes up with the first hit of the day for either team. You got to take the bunt away from Singleton.
Singleton hits and swings and misses. Came over from the Yankees for Rich Pratt. Last year hit .300 with 17 homers for the Southsiders.
And been a very pleasant addition in center field. He's got a good arm and can go get him.
And one of the Class A human beings in the game. High fly ball, shallow center. Buford coming on, the wind holds it up, makes the catch, no play to first. Mother Nature helped the Cubs there. And Buford, who's played as solid a center field as anybody else in the National League, made a long running catch for out number 2.
Damon got a good jump, and this one did hang up there. So he was able to make the play. Here's a guy that wouldn't be hitting 7th in too many lineups. Carlos Lee has had a very solid offensive season.
He's hit 15 home runs. When you look at this lineup, Durham with 13, Valentin 13, Frank with 25, Ordonez 19, Lee with 15. And there is no weak spot in this batting order. Quite obviously, when you hit 289 as a team, you make some people pay. And he does with a base hit to left. 2 on, 2 out.
They're missing Paul Konerko in their lineup. He's hit 12 home runs with 54 driven in, quite obviously. With no designated hitter, Big Frank has to play at first base. Carlos Lee taking the ball through the left side. He's done that quite a bit this year as he plugs the hole between short and third. So 2 on, 2 out.
And that brings up catcher Mark Johnson. Johnson at 227. 17 runs batted in, 8 of those in the last 10 White Sox games. Johnson last weekend made one of the great base running plays that I've seen in baseball this year against the Boston Red Sox. Johnson came home and scored on a Ray Durham single. This time he pops it into the air to shallow right center. Young out. Buford and Sosa in. It'll be Damon. He's got it. And Wood works around to solidly hit singles by the Sox in the second. On we go to the bottom half. Sammy Sosa leads it off for the Cubs in a scoreless game.
Welcome back to Wrigley Field. If you think all Cubs fans and Sox fans hate each other, well, that's not true. I'm with Kelly and Lewis Travis, and they're married, husband and wife. One's a Sox fan, one's a Cubs fan. How do you work this out?
It's very difficult. Game days at our house are very hectic, especially when they play each other.
Now, what happens when the Sox win or the Cubs win? Anything? You got to sleep on the couch or something?
When the White Sox win, I have to cry. And when the Cubs win, she loses everything.
All right, I don't want to be around for the end of the game next to you two. Chip and Steve, let's send it back to you.
Okay, Gail, thank you very much. Sammy Sosa tried to check his swing, could not. And he's down a quick strike as we head to the Cubs half of inning number 2.
You would think that Mike Soroka would try to stay away from Sammy Sosa, especially with that wind coming in from right center field.
A huge gap in left center. Look at where Singleton is playing Sammy in the outfield. A 1-strike pitch. Evens the count.
Well, I think Soroka is going to waste it inside as we show you the way they're defending against Sammy Sosa. By that defense, it would appear they're going to throw him away.
And they did. Missed. 2 balls and a strike. That's been the strategy in this series for the White Sox. Keep the ball away from Sosa and see if he'll expand his strike zone. If not, you live with the walk and take your chances, but at least you keep him in the ballpark. We'll see if it works the first time around today. Inside corner, bends him back. 2-2.
That one looked like it might have been up, but Marty Foster thought it was good enough. Sammy a little surprised at the call. Johnson wants it inside. That's exactly where Soroka throws it. He does have good control.
Never had to move the glove. And that was over but low. 3-2 the count. Good eye by Sammy that time.
Except for Keith Folk in White Sox Park, the White Sox stayed away from Sammy exclusively and said if you're going to hit it to right field.
Pitch up decision now, the 3-2. Good rip, and he ripped it straight back.
That time he tried to go inside. That's away from the defense, but he thought he could throw it by him upstairs and didn't get it up quite high enough.
Again the 3-2, and again Sammy a good rip back. We want to welcome our affiliate Media One and their viewers in Romeoville, Illinois. Wrigley Field in Chicago, where Jerry Manuel and Don Baylor match wits again this weekend. And Sosa does take the walk. First one of those we've seen today, and Soroka walks Sosa to start the Cubs second.
Like he threw him a changeup and Sammy laid off it. So they do get the leadoff walk.
And now Glenn Allen Hill will be the batter. Hill starting in left field for Henry Rodriguez, who ordinarily doesn't play against left-handed pitching. You see Hill's numbers: 9 home runs, 23 driven in. One ball, no strikes. White Sox have induced 82 double plays in 84 games. Cubs as a team have hit to 59 of them.
59 is not too bad at this point, but because they don't make a lot of contact, that'll stop you from hitting into double plays. They're playing Glenn Allen Hill as a pull hitter with Valentin in the hole at short.
1-1. 1-2. Hill has faced the White Sox left-hander 9 times, has a pair of hits. And despite hitting into his share of double plays for a big man, he runs exceptionally well. He's had some leg and knee problems throughout his career. But if you take your time trying to turn 2 on this guy, he'll make you look bad. 1-2. And again into the seats.
A lot of pitchers around the National League have been trying to throw face-high fastballs to Glenn Allen Hill when they get ahead. Now normally that's not Sorotka's game because he likes to throw ground balls. He likes to throw sinkers. So let's see if he goes with his strength or with Glenn Allen Hill's weakness.
Sammy, a very short lead over at first. And a lollipop throw over there from Sorotka.
With a 1-2 count, they were thinking that Sammy might be looking for his 7th stolen base of the year.
1 on, none out in the Cubs' second. Steve Stone, Chip Caray from Wrigley. Our game scoreless. And Hill ground ball weakly right side. Durham to his left. Close play, but in time. Runner to second. Good piece of hitting from Hill. Advance the runner into scoring position with less than 2 outs. And that sets the table for the Cubs' hottest hitter, Jose Nieves. The young third baseman has 10 runs batted in the last 11 Cub games.
Glenn Allen was hustling down the line. He made a very close play at first. Ordonez with a better than average arm in right field. Lee does not throw very well, especially home. Now he'll throw out base runners at second and third. Has some problems throwing out base runners at the plate, that coming from left field. And Singleton throws well from center.
Gave us a little looper towards second, and that's out number 2. Not what the Cubs were looking for in this second inning.
Damon Buford's been a pretty dependable hitter recently. And Don Baylor looking on, hoping that somehow, some way, this offense turns on.
Cubs scored 6 runs in their last game, but were beaten by the Pirates 9-6. This is a Cub offense that's been hitting in the low 200s in the last week and a half, and wasting very good starting pitching in the process. And that's been the most frustrating thing on the north side. When the pitching's been bad, the offense has clicked. When the offense has been good, the pitching hasn't been able to work. Or when the starters are on, the hitters are on, but the bullpen can't hold the lead. Have not put together really any stretch at all where all 3 of those components were on the same page in a positive fashion. 1-1 pitch. Oh, this guy's got good stuff. 1-2 the count.
Sorotka, born in Chicago, Illinois, and you see that curveball. It's a dandy. It bites down and in, and Damon Buford swings over the top. So he's in a 1-2 hole.
Sammy's at second, and the pitch. White Sox fans thought that was good enough. 2-2 the count.
Well, normally if Sorotka goes to a lot of breaking balls, the left side of the infield, in this case Perry and Valentin, are going to be very busy.
Again the 2-2. Missed inside this time. Full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With Joe Girardi waiting next.
The outfield playing awfully shallow, so Sammy has got to get a very good secondary lead and a good jump off second base if he's going to score on a base hit.
Swung, there's a drive deep toward left. Lee on the run at the track, up the wall. It's gone. 2-run homer, Damon Buford, and the Cubs score a pair with 2 out.
Damon's already set his career high in home runs. That's his 12th. He's driven in 30. And the Cubs grab a 2-0 lead. So Soroka trying to get inside on Buford. He couldn't get it there, and he yields home run number 12 in just 100 innings of work.
And with the wind howling in, that ball really was socked, and he went down and got it. So the Cubs lead by 2 here in the second. It comes after the leadoff walk. And Joe Girardi is the Cub hitter. Brookfield Little League gets $100 from R.C. Cola on Damon Buford's 12th home run of the year. And Girardi just missed an extra base hit down the right field line.
Damon Buford really has had a solid season. He's on pace to hit 20 home runs. When you consider that he hasn't played every day, those are pretty big numbers.
And he, with that good year, defensively and offensively, has very much allowed the Cubs organization to allow the #1 pick in the draft last year by this Cub team, Corey Patterson, to develop in the minor leagues. For many who thought he was ready to play out of spring training.
Corey hasn't had the greatest year, but he's still a very young man, still learning his craft. And they've gotten him the extra at-bats that he needed. He will be up here, but not quite yet, as Damon has taken over center, and he doesn't look like he wants to give it up.
Hot shot towards short. Valentine handles the hop and the throw to first in plenty of time, and that retires the side. But a leadoff walk, then a 2-out pick-me-up from Damon Buford. His 12th home run of the year gives the Cubs a 2-0 lead here at Wrigley. Premiering July 17th, it's the 11 o'clock Regional Sports Report Chicago edition. 30 minutes of home team news with extended regional highlights and interviews. It's all you need for the latest in Chicago sports. The 11 o'clock Regional Sports Report Chicago edition, July 17th on Fox Sports Net. Steve Stone, Chip Caray from the ballpark. Sellout crowd, evenly divided, and the Cubs have an early 2-0 lead.
I got to believe that if the Cubs were looking for any inspiration, they would find it in this series. Quite obviously, this year hasn't worked out the way the Cubs have wanted it to. They have not played inspired baseball by and large. But this series can bring out the best in this Cub team.
And here's Soroka. The White Sox pitcher takes a quick strike. It is a cliche, but it's true. Throw out the records in a game like this or a series like this. So much emotion, so much on the line for the fans of these respective teams. The Cubs play the White Sox, the best team in baseball, in 3 one-run games in the earlier 3-game series at Comiskey Park. They've jumped in front early today. Fly ball to center. Buford, good jump. And Soroka, pretty good hitter, flies out for out #1. That is an advantage the Cubs will have in this series as well. The pitchers for the White Sox will have to hit. No DH.
Well, Soroka is a good hitter, so there's not much of an advantage, although Kerry Wood can be a terrific hitter at times. So Nieves in trying to take away the bunt from Durham.
Who struck out on a high fastball his first time up. Wood's given up 2 hits. He struck out 1, has yet to walk a White Sox hitter today. And for Kerry, that has been the most troubling stat in his amazing comeback from that Tommy John surgery. It's that he hasn't been able to maintain the control of that fastball for a consistent period of time, although it has improved of late.
Well, with 41 walks in 68 innings, that's not the kind of control that Kerry Wood wants to exhibit. So the appeal to Angel Hernandez, and he says that the count should be 2-1. Durham did not swing at that.
Way upstairs, 3 balls and a strike.
I thought the key to this White Sox lineup was the 2 switch hitters at the top, Durham and Valentine, before you got to Thomas and Ordonez. You retire these 2 guys, you don't have to worry about those big bangers in the middle. But if Durham and Valentine get on consistently, it's going to be tough to keep them off the board with Thomas or Ordonez coming up next.
And we just saw one of the worst fielding plays by a fan in the history of this series. The pitch is outside, and Wood does walk Durham with 1 man out. I mean, a lazy floating pop fly right in a fan's breadbasket. And he earned the Iron Glove.
But he's at the ballpark on a beautiful day. And he's probably a very happy man to be here witnessing this firsthand. Looks to me like over 40,000 packed into this ballpark today.
Yeah, they were selling standing room only tickets a couple of hours ago. Here's Valentin. He's had very good luck against Cub pitching. He knows it well. Of course, Valentin played with Milwaukee and was very happy to get out of that situation and come to the South Side.
Durham has not been a particularly good base runner. He's stolen 9, but he's been caught 7 times.
Not going on ball 1, which nearly took Girardi's left arm off.
Well, I would think if you're Jose Valentin, you were trying to show some patience, something he hasn't done a whole lot of this year. Just 27 walks in 313 at bats. So normally if it stays in the park, Jose is going to be swinging.
Again to first. And again Durham is back. Durham scored 68 runs out of the leadoff spot for the White Sox. That's 3rd for the American League. He's going now. Pitch cut on and missed. Girardi's throw to second is close. Not in time. Durham steals his 10th bag of the year. He got a great jump.
Well, he picked a real good pitch to run because it was a changeup. And he had Valentin out on the front foot, but on a changeup you get a couple of extra steps. And you can see Valentin well out in front of it. Girardi makes a good throw, but he can't get it there in time. This one stolen on Kerry Wood. As Durham looks back to see if there's any contact, there's not. And he's in under the tag.
Count even at a ball and a strike. And it's popped straight back, 1-2.
Valentin had a couple of tough years, the final years with Milwaukee, especially last year when he hit just .227. He was injured. He played in just 89 games, but he's been given new life with a team that has been rejuvenated, the South Side Sox.
He chases the high heat. Wood has his 2nd strikeout. 2 outs, runner at 2nd for Frank Thomas.
You do not have to throw Jose Valentin a strike. And at 95 miles an hour, this high heat, a little too much for him.
Thomas hit the ball sharply, but rolled out to 2nd. Line right center field deep. Buford on the run. Slowing now. He's got it. The Sox are retired in the 3rd. Buford's been busy. That's his 4th put out of the game. And the White Sox are shut down in the 3rd with Kerry leading things off. Cubs by 2 as we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Kerry Wood is in the box. He'll lead things off. And he's a real good hitting pitcher. And he lines a shot to center field for a leadoff hit.
A good way to start off the 3rd inning. You shut down the Sox and then do it yourself. Soroka hit the ball pretty hard in his at bat, but Kerry hit it a little harder and he winds up aboard.
2nd Cub hit, and usually when that pitcher gets on to lead off an inning, offensively, it leads to good things. We'll see if that's the case for the Cubs as EY digs in. And he looks at something off speed for a strike. 14 straight at bats without a hit for Young. That might be his longest dry spell of the year.
It started in Milwaukee when he got on base 10 times and could not dent the plate. And he had a real tough Pirate series. So EY thinking about a bunt as that one sweeps down and out of the zone, and Kerry Wood, not being an accomplished base runner, didn't know how far that one would bounce away from Mark Johnson, so he stayed at first.
One ball, 1 strike. That's 2-1.
Not necessarily a bad idea to put the pressure on Big Frank at first base, because he hasn't played there a whole lot. And when you have a left-hander on the mound that falls off to the 3rd base side, if you can bunt it to the right side, you might be able to beat Soroka to the bag.
Young tried to get the bat out of the way and still made contact. That's a bad break.
Well, it looked like he was trying to push it just to the right of Frank Thomas, and do just exactly what we were talking about. But he finds himself even at 2-2. Watch it again. Looks like he's ready to push it, but then realized it was up and out of the strike zone. Couldn't get the bat back in time.
So the count evens at 2. Ground ball hit towards second. Second base one. Look at Valentine. Flash across that bag. Good play. And the Cubs wrap into a 4-6-3 double play.
This is probably one of the big areas of improvement as far as the Sox are concerned. Durham has gotten better at second, and certainly Valentine an upgrade over Caruso at short, and they turn a very snappy 4-6-3. Kerry Wood doing whatever he can to try to get a piece of Valentine, but he can't disrupt the timing of this play. And Eric Young, despite his good speed, grounds into a 6th double play of the year.
Base is clear now for Rickey. And 2 men down. Gutierrez grounded to second on the first pitch he saw in the Cubs first. 2-0 on a Damon Buford 2-out home run. And it's a strike. 1-1 the count.
There's just a general buzz over the stands as these two teams hook up. It certainly has re-energized the north side. Quite obviously been a disappointing year for the Cubs, but during this series you'd never know where the Cubs are in the standings. You do know, however, where the Sox are.
Maybe we don't want to know where the Cubs are in the standings, but one thing about this Cub team, it's very strange. This ball club's played very well against division leaders: Arizona, St. Louis, Atlanta.
Well, it
actually over 500 against those teams.
It shows you they're capable of playing that kind of baseball. They just haven't been able to put it together consistently, because they play well against the good teams, and the teams that they're supposed to handle, they just don't. 2-7 against the Pirates. Florida Marlins have killed them. And all in all, it's added up to 17 under.
I don't like that kind of math, my friend. 2-2 pitch. Line down the right field line. Ordonez on the run. And Fairground makes the catch, and that retires the side. Leadoff single for Wood, but a double play and flyout takes care of the Cubs in the third. Magglio Ordonez will lead it off in the fourth. Battling banners and battling ball clubs here at Wrigley Field, and tomorrow is Sultan Day at the ballpark. Hold on to your tickets for the Cubs White Sox game, because you can have the lucky seat location and go home with a George Foreman grilling machine or a Sultan Juice Man Jr. juicer. There is no purchase necessary. Magglio Ordonez, Herbert Perry, and Chris Singleton to face Kerry Wood in the White Sox fourth. Cubs leading by a pair on a 2-run, 2-out Damon Buford homer.
A lot of young people around the ballpark enjoying what's turned into a gorgeous day here in Chicago.
10-game hitting streak on the line for Ordonez today. And that one fouled away for a strike.
Magglio very happy to be going to the All-Star game. Said that he felt that he played well enough against the Yankees and Joe Torre to make him decide to take him. But those numbers speak for themselves. He's had a terrific year.
Roll toward third. He was good play. Look at that arm. One down. One up, one down in the White Sox fourth.
Well, Kerry hasn't worried about the strikeout today. Early in the count, he's gone right at these White Sox hitters, knowing that they're very aggressive. And he's taken advantage of their aggressiveness. He has just the one walk, given up a couple of hits. But he has kept them off the scoreboard. And he hasn't done it by trying to strike everybody out.
Here's a man that has one of those hits, Herbert Perry. Perry, quite a football player, too, was a quarterback at Florida with the Gators. He smacks early in the count. Easy play at short. 2 up, 2 down.
That's the way you like to see Kerry doing it, because I think gone are the days, at least for a while, where he gets to 100, 110 pitches through 5 or 6 innings. He's going to want to complete this one, and he's going to be able to do it by keeping his pitches to a minimum early.
And our Affleck trivia question reflects the Crosstown Classic. How many of the 9 players can you name that have played for both the Cubs and the Sox in the 70s?
I can name one of them.
I can name 2 of them.
Well, certainly there's Ron Santo, and there is me. Dennis Lamp is another one. Steve Trout, I think, might have been there in the 70s.
No balls and a strike to Singleton, and quickly behind 0-2.
You got, I think Kenny Frailing might have been there.
Outside, ball 1. Let's see. Larry Anderson, Steve Stone, Steve Swisher, Ken Frailing, Jim Kreml, Ron Santo, Phil Regan. High, lazy pop. Shallow left. Out goes Ricky. Good range. Good play. And Singleton denied a blue pit into left field. Wood retires him again. 1, 2, 3 in the 4th. He's pitching a gem against one of baseball's best offenses. Mark Grace leads it off for the Cubs in the 4th. He struck out swinging his first time and takes a breaking pitch for strike 1. 2-0 Cubs.
Soroka might run into something today that he's not used to running into, and that is leaving a game late for a pinch hitter. That's something you don't have to worry about in the American League.
Look out, folks. That one ricochets off the facade in front of the White Sox dugout.
Normally in the American League, when you leave a game, it's because they pummel you. Because there are some very potent offenses with that designated hitter.
This guy hasn't left from many pummelings this year. There's no doubting that. A high chopper hit toward Valentin at shorts. Base 0 for 2. And is out number 1 here in the 4th inning. Sosa will hit, but first our Aflac trivia question. Answer: how many of the 9 players can you name that have played for both the Cubs and Sox in the 70s? Ron Santo and Steve Stone, quite obviously, are a couple of them.
Tim Frailing and Don Kessinger, Steve Renko, Jose Ortiz, Bob Miller, and Kenny Henderson.
Lots of Steves, a Ron, and a Don. Here's Sammy. Walked and scored in that 2nd inning. Breaks his bat and has a base hit up the middle.
The bat goes flying. Sammy was able to muscle this ball out into center field. Soroka got the ball inside, but not inside enough.
So here's the G-man, Glenn Allen Hill, grounded out to second his first time up. Cubs hoping to use the White Sox as a springboard to much happier times in the second half of the year. Cubs 17 under, as we told you. All-Star break coming up after the game Sunday.
And they'll have their opportunity to do it against the American League teams with the White Sox, and after the break it's Minnesota and Kansas City before heading back to work in the National League.
1 ball, no strikes to Hill. The pitch is chopped toward Perry at third. That's a fair ball. Long toss across in time. Frank digs it out. Sosa to second with 2 men down. White Sox have a real treat awaiting them after the All-Star break. They'll welcome the Cardinals to town Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
This one chopped to the left side, and Perry doesn't have great range, but if he can get it, he usually will throw you out. And he does have pretty decent hands at third.
Let's see if Nieves can be a little more patient. Pop the first pitch up for an out. His first time up. Another runner in scoring position for the Cubs, and Nieves skips the rope. 1-0 the count.
That one went between his legs.
How did he do that?
Good timing.
Good footwork. 1 ball, no strikes. And it's even 1-1. The Cubs know Nieves can play at the big leagues defensively. The question he will try to answer for this organization will be, can he hit up here? Can he hit for Don Van? Can he hit for power at a power position? Cubs have played him at shortstop, played him at third base. What with the year Ricky Gutierrez is having, third base right now is where he'll see the bulk of his playing time. Inside corner strike.
Right now, Jose Nieves doesn't care where he plays. He just wants to make sure he gets his at-bats. He's got 6 doubles, 3 triples, and 4 home runs. So with 27 hits, figure it's not bad to have 11 extra base hits. That's a very good ratio.
Big lead by Sammy. The pitch is nowhere near. Count evens up 2-2. All the other action is later on tonight as interleague play gets back underway. The 2-2. Popped him up again. This time to short. Valentine is in and up there, and that does it for the Cubs in the 4th. Soroka hasn't been afraid to get the ball inside. He's been pretty effective, but one mistake has cost him a 2-0 Cub lead after 4. Time for our Heineken game summary. After 4 innings, the Cubs behind Damon Buford lead the Sox 2-0, and 2 young pitchers having a good day also.
Damon Buford had the big hit, and Kerry Wood throwing the ball well, as is Mike Soroka. And you look at the numbers, not much to choose from, except for that 2-run homer. That's the Heineken game summary. Kerry Wood back at it, and he has been dominating and challenging.
And it is strength against strength. One of the best hitting teams in baseball. Facing the Cubs' power arm, and he gets ahead of Lee with a strike. Lee and Perry, the lone 2 hits for the White Sox. Outside corner, pinpoint control, 0-2. And Lee takes a little walk.
Well, if Marty Foster calls that, that one is just unhittable. Kerry not using a lot of breaking pitches today with the wind blowing in. He's going to a lot of the heat.
Breaking pitch, line fair down the left field line. Lead down in the count, 1-2. Doubles to lead off the White Sox 5th.
He was able to get the head of the bat out and take it just down the line. No chance for Jose Nieves. So after throwing the fastball by him, Kerry went to the breaking ball and had very little luck. This one hangs on the outer third. It did not go down, but Carlos Lee did, and he has a single and a double for his efforts.
So let's see how the White Sox handle this scoring opportunity. They have their 3rd runner at second base in the game. Here's Johnson, who flied out his first time, and he lays down a beautiful bunt. Nieves charges, gloves, grabs, guns, got him at first. To third goes Lee with 1 out. And now you have the pitcher up, Soroka, with a runner at third and 1 down.
That does go as a sacrifice, although Mark Johnson was bunting for a hit. He thought perhaps he could beat Nieves, who was charging with the play. He makes a very solid toss across. And now you're dealing with the pitcher up, a pitcher who is not used to hitting, although Soroka showed in the 2nd inning that in the 3rd inning that he can swing the bat.
Cubs have the infield halfway up the middle, actually coming in now, and even with the bags at the corners. Ball 1 to Soroka, who flied to shallow center his first time up. Little ground ball. That ball almost behind Ricky, but he made the play and threw out the pitcher. How about that? Nieves started for the ball, then stopped. Ricky made the catch in the hole and threw out Soroka easily for out number 2.
Unfortunately, the White Sox didn't have the contact play on, because if they did, I don't think Ricky would have been able to get Lee at the plate. Soroka bidding for a base hit, but Ricky has other ideas. Good solid play. And there wasn't much that Carlos Lee could do because he was looking right at Gutierrez, who wasn't all that far away from him.
And you saw the reaction from somebody in that White Sox dugout. They were not happy at all that Lee didn't come home on that play. So now the Cubs can back up to normal depth. 2 outs, runner at third for Durham, who has walked and struck out today. Two 2-0 Cubs have the lead. 1-1 now. Good breaking ball. 1-2.
Kerry has used that sparingly, but he's limited these powerful Sox to just the 3 hits.
And it looks like the way he's pitching today, he's going to have plenty left in the tank for late inning action at Wrigley.
Ray wants to extend his arms. He doesn't handle the ball inside very well.
A check of the runner at third now, the 2-2. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Good stop by Joe Girardi, saving the run for the moment.
Lee led it off with a double. Johnson sacrificed him to third. Soroka grounded deep in the hole at short. Lee held at third. That was out number 2. And now the 3-2 offering due to Durham. Here it comes. And there it goes over the roof left side and out of play. Ray looks like, oh, that's a pitch he wishes he had again.
Well, he'd just as soon have that ball out away, and that fastball was out away.
Again, the 3-2. Ouch. Right off the right ankle. And down goes Durham.
When you're headed to the All-Star game, this isn't what you're looking for. Right off the instep.
Again, the 3-2. Good cut.
Pretty good battle here between Kerry Wood and Ray Durham. He keeps fouling back pitch after pitch. This fastball down the middle. He's a little gimpy in that batter's box.
High fly ball left center field, pretty deep. Buford on the run, can't get it. It's over his head off the ivy. A run is in. Buford drops the ball, and Durham limping into second, Stoney. And the Sox have to be a little worried about Durham. He is not 100%. Shoots that ball into the left center field gap to cut the Cub lead in half. And if the White Sox lose Durham, they lose an awful lot for this ball club on the south side.
Well, Jerry Manuel's going to come out. He wants to take a look at Ray Durham. He finally got the pitch he wanted. That one out away. And Durham was hobbling into second base. He drives in his 48th run of the year. And as you can see, he pulls up short. He was not going to get a triple anyway. But they are very concerned about what they consider the heart and soul of their team.
Well, that's, again, something every team has to be concerned with, especially when you've had the kind of year that the Sox have had. They've had no major injuries to talk about. And with the 10.5 game lead, with the 54-30 record, there are 2 big questions. Can they keep their intensity and keep their focus and play with the same zest and zeal every day in the second half with this big lead, number 1, and number 2, the thing they can't control is the injury factor.
Well, in order to have an enchanted year, you have to avoid major injuries, and he fouls it off his foot here. He looks like he's running pretty well out at second base. I got to believe that Ray Durham, who's a pretty tough guy, is going to want to stay in this game, and I think he's going to. So the Sox cut the lead in half. A couple of ringing doubles here in the 5th inning. And it leaves it up to Jose Valentin.
Durham stretches that hit streak to 7 games. He tallies a big 2-out RBI, his first since May 21st. And he represents the tying run for Valentin, who's 0 for 2. 2-1. Cubs leading the Sox, and Wood misses with ball one. 2 runs, folks, may not be enough to beat this ball club. Not the way they score. They've scored 522 runs in 84 games. That's over 6 a game on average. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, with a team batting average of .289, and of course you have to factor in the designated hitter, but still, this is a very potent offense.
And there's the man that's guided the ship, Jerry Manuel, who is just a terrific man and a terrific baseball man too. Line back toward Ron Santo and out of play. 1-2.
Now you don't have to throw Valentin a strike. This is one of the least patient hitters over in the American League. We know that because he was one of the least patient hitters over in the National League. And he doesn't mind swinging at anything up and away, especially out of the zone.
1-2. See you later. He swung at a ball that nearly hit him, and Kerry Wood has his 3rd strikeout of the game. However, the Sox score on a pair of doubles. Ray Durham drives home Carlos Lee, and after 4.5, the Cub lead trimmed to 2-1 at Wrigley.
Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. Log on for low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom. And by the men and women of General Motors, whose commitment to quality brings you outstanding cars and trucks.
Cubs give up 1 in the 5th. Let's see if we can get it right back. Here's the man that put us up, Damon Buford, with a 2-run homer to left. Man came in the 2nd inning and extended his modest hit streak to 4 games. 2-1 in favor of the Cubs. It's time for our Toyota Everyday Fan of the Game. Today's Toyota Fan of the Game is John Bucher of Crown Point, Indiana. If the Cubs score in their half of the inning, John will win a Toyota Fox Sports Net prize package, including a hat, t-shirt, pair of tickets to a future Cubs game. So, John, good luck here in the Cubs half of the 5th. Steve Stone, Chip Caray from the ballpark. Game 1 of 3 over this weekend. Line drive right center field. It's going to drop for a leadoff hit. Singleton over quickly, and Buford 2 out of 2.
Well, Kerry Wood, as good a hitter as he is, you think about either the hit and run or the bunt on the part of Joe Girardi. Damon Buford takes this ball into right center field. Good piece of hitting because this ball is sinking low and away from him. If he tries to pull it, he hits the ground ball to the left side. Instead, he winds up with his 2nd hit.
So here's Joe, who grounded out to short his first time up. Girardi a 7-game hit streak. Joe's batting average coming into this game was at .305.
Kind of surprising to a lot of people, but not Jeff Penland, who told Joe when he came over here, look, I know you didn't have to carry the load offensively with the Yankees, but over here you're going to have to contribute offensively. And he gave Joe a lot of confidence, and Joe has certainly responded.
Missed the breaking ball, and that's strike 1. Girardi 1 for 9 against Soroka in his big league career. Of course, Joe saw him while with the Yankees. The Yankees, who, by the way, despite all of their pitching troubles, are only a half game behind Toronto in the AL East.
When it's all said and done, it's going to be very difficult to hold off that ball club. Even with David Cohn out of the starting rotation, not pitching real well. But in his place, the venerable Doc Gooden.
The Doc. Dwight Gooden is going to face the Mets apparently tonight, I think. For the Yankees, well, it's going to be tomorrow. That's the day-night Shea Yankee doubleheader. Everybody's going to get on the subway cars and travel between venues.
It's kind of an interesting day.
Downstairs 1 and 2.
Do the same thing here.
However, if you got on it, it would be an express, just like you know who.
Yes.
One ball, 2 strikes. To Cub catcher Joe Girardi. Good ball game. Another 1-run game. All of them decided by 1 run. In the series so far this year. Soroka has that walk move that every left-hander possesses. He comes very close. Double play ball hit short. Second one of those we've hit into today. Valentin unloaded very quickly, and Durham with an easy turn. 2 outs, bases clear now for Kerry Wood in the 5th.
8 ground balls given up by Soroka, and when he's right, we told you he will just keep those infielders very busy. He's had 1 4-6-3 and 1 6-4-3 double play.
Kerry Wood a base hit in the Cubs' 3rd before being erased on the aforementioned 4-6-3 version of the double play. White Sox have the game's best record. We've told you about that several times today. They've also won 29 of their 54 away from home.
Well, they just had their 12-game winning streak away from home interrupted by the Kansas City Royals. It is difficult to win 12 road games.
Well, in fact, the White Sox had a stretch of 10 consecutive wins on the road against winning teams, something that had not been done in baseball in 100 years. And that takes care of Kerry. Good pitch by Soroka, and he retires the Cubs in the 5th. On we go to the 6th. Heart of the order due for the Sox. Thomas, Ordonez, and Perry in a 2-1 Cub game. Well, there's the sweet swinger Whistler, Billy Williams, Hall of Famer as well. And Sunday it's Billy Williams lapel pin day at the ballpark. First 10,000 adults 21 and over attending the Cubs Sox game will get a Billy Williams lapel pin. And there it is, number 26. High above the fair pole down the right field line. Retired forever here on Chicago's north side.
Well, this shapes up to be a pretty tough inning for Kerry Wood. If he gets through this one, he should be in pretty good shape. For this one features Thomas, Ordonez, Perry, and if anybody gets on, Singleton, the heart of the order for the Chicago White Sox.
Franks hit the ball hard twice, has nothing to show for it. That's what scares you the most. He's grounded to second and hit a line drive to center that Damon Buford took care of, and Kerry misses upstairs with ball 1. Each team with 4 hits. The Cubs have the lead in that run column. 2-1. We're in the 6th. 1-1. A lot tougher to pitch Thomas now than in years past. He is not giving up on that inside corner offering. That open batting stance has really allowed him to see that pitch better and to handle that pitch better. And he still feels he can get enough coverage on the outer half of the plate to make solid contact. However, low and away is still a real sweet spot to go against him. That's where the Cubs want to go here, and it takes care of business. 4 strikeouts for Wood as Thomas waves bye-bye. Out number 1.
Well, when guys keep hitting the low and away slider, then you got problems. That was a perfect pitch in the perfect spot. And Frank Thomas goes down on strikes and goes down easily.
Magglio Ordonez 0 for 2. A 10-game hitting streak for Ordonez, who has 20 hits in that span. And is a cool 1 for 3 on average over the year. 333 is Ordonez. Wasn't he originally looked at by the Astros as a catcher? I believe that's a story I read about Ordonez. He was in the Astros Venezuelan Academy as a catcher, but was too young to sign. They knew he could hit, so they said, come back in a couple of years when we can take a closer look at you. And by the time he came back, everyone knew who he was.
I think Phil Regan was managing in Venezuela at the time, and Ordonez came to his attention as a guy with a chance to be a pretty good player. And it certainly has worked out exactly that way. And now he winds up at first base with the second walk of the day for Kerry Wood.
And that'll bring up Herbert Perry. Perry a base hit his first time up. Perry, a graduate of the University of Florida with a degree in agriculture operation management.
Not bad.
And why you say would he major in that? Very simply. He grew up on a 1,000-acre, 1,000-cow dairy farm in the northern Florida town of Mayo. In 1996, he and his younger brother Chan bought the farm from his parents, and they pay their dad to manage the dairy farm. That's a pretty nice story. It's a pretty good player, Herb Perry. Popped up out of play. You wonder what Perry would have been able to accomplish with the Indians organization, but had all kinds of injury problems. In 1996, tore cartilage in his knee while running in the outfield between games of a doubleheader in the minor leagues. Missed the rest of that year. Missed 97 as well.
He's always been a pretty good line drive hitter. Doesn't have enormous power, but he's been able to hit wherever he's gone.
Couldn't hit that pitch. 0-2. Perry trying to avenge a loss to the Sox on June 10th.
It's a good hard breaking slider. And he has Perry out in front of it.
Outside, 1-2. We've said a couple of times, wait until you see Kerry Wood making his 15th, 16th, 17th start of the year before you judge, as a true test of his progress coming back from that arm problem. Are you starting to see more and more of the flashes of Kerry Wood of 98 now?
Well, we won't see the big strikeout Kerry Wood for a while.
There it goes, the pitch line foul. Play.
But we are starting to see in this his 12th start the effect of Kerry Wood. This is a real difficult lineup to face, and he's held them to just 4 hits and 1 run to this point. Also threw the ball very well against Milwaukee at Milwaukee, but came away with a loss in that one.
Pitch to Perry. High hopper hit towards second. Can we turn 2? Out there. On to first. It's close. And in time, double play. The Sox argue, but the Cubs turn a pair in the 6th and retire the side. No runs, no hits, nobody left. Jerry Manuel out to argue the play with Ron Kulpa. Close. And we got a break. Well, friends, get your fix of baseball news, highlights, and analysis on Fox Sports Net Baseball Today. It's a half-hour program devoted entirely to Major League Baseball. Catch Baseball Today weekdays at 5 on Fox Sports Net. With Steve Stone, Chip Caray back at the ballpark. The Cubs turned a nifty pair a moment ago and got a big break. For it appeared Herbert Perry easily beat the throw to first, and Mark Grace stolen out for the Cubs.
That's the second time in as many games that the Sox get a bad call at first. There wasn't much doubt about the fact that Perry beat the play, but Ron Kulpa gave the nod to the Cubs, and they'll lead it off at the top with Ewald,
who's hitless in 15 tries, and he takes a ball from Soroka. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning already. Just 3 runs, 8 hits combined between these two teams. Another 1-run game. That's been the story so far this year. Ewald skies that one to shallow right. Ordonez in, shielding his eyes, and there is out number 1.
Let's watch the play at first. As you see right there, he's on the bag well before the ball gets to Mark Grace, and Jerry Manuel did have a legitimate complaint with that one.
But we've got the benefit of the replay. Ron Kulpa doesn't, And the Cubs glad to take the break as Ricky Gutierrez stands in. Ricky 0 for 2 on the day, a ground out and a fly out.
Both pitchers have been terrific today, and it's very much a pitcher's day with the wind blowing out of the east, which is straight in at 15 miles an hour.
High drive right center field. Singleton on the run, still going, slowing now, makes the catch, and there's out number 2.
On another day, that's a lot of problems, but not today, as the wind we just talking about batted it down.
Well, a happy 98th birthday today, Stoney, to one of the stars of the old Negro Leagues. Ted Double Duty Radcliffe is here. 1928 to 1950 was a catcher, pitcher, and manager in the old Negro Leagues, and was nicknamed Double Duty by the legendary writer Damon Runyon, who saw him catch a Satchel Paige 5-0 game in Yankee Stadium. Then he pitched a shutout in the nightcap. So happy birthday to Double Duty Radcliffe, who starred here in Chicago in the first half of our century. Grace flies to center. Sorotka works a 1-2-3-6. Then on we go to the 7th with the Cubs leading by 1. Well, a well-pitched ball game, Stoney, as you predicted, with the wind blowing in. Our forward game summary reflects that. Neither pitcher has made many mistakes, but the one Sorotka made is the difference in this ball game.
Ray Durham doubled against the wall. Fortunately, that one stayed in the park, and the Cubs lead by a run.
So here we go to the 7th inning already, and Chris Singleton is going to lead things off. Singleton popped out his last time up. A terrific ranging play by Ricky Gutierrez in that White Sox 4th inning. First time we've seen action in the Southsiders bullpen today.
They get something going. Sorotka's due up 4th.
Singleton, a high hopper toward Grace. Handles the hop, the close play at first in time. One man down in the top of the 7th.
And one man that has had no trouble solving Kerry Wood is the man stepping to bat, Mr. Lee.
In a couple of outs, Chris Chelios will be along to guest conduct our 7th inning stretch. Continuing our theme of Hockey Week at the ballpark. We had Eddie Olczyk a couple of days ago, and we're looking forward to hearing Chris do his thing. Line drive off Grace and into right field, and Lee has a perfect day. Big turnaround first, and he'll put on the brakes. That'll be a base hit for Lee. He's 3 out of 3. And now, barring a double play, we'll get Sorotka out of the ball game.
This one hit awfully hard. And Carlos Lee shows you why that batting average is knocking at the door at 290. He's used the whole field. And this one bouncing off the leg of Mark Grace. Looked like it might bounce right at Eric Young, but it eluded him. Sammy hustling, getting the ball back in, making sure the tying run does not wind up at second.
Johnson bunted for a hit last time up after Lee had doubled. They gave him a sacrifice. And the White Sox scored on a Durham double. That's their lone run. And now he hits again with a count of 1-0.
Well, for the moment, Sorotka's in the on-deck circle, but you don't figure him to hit. Lee has swiped 4 bases this year, been caught twice. He doesn't run often. And you can understand that the White Sox don't run all that often with all the thunder in this lineup as Billy Seamus throwing for the Sox.
That misses low. 2 balls, no strikes. Johnson's wrapped into only 2 double plays on the year. Cubs would love to turn their second right here. But a good hitter's pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. Did he check it? Yes, he did.
Well, the advantage is that Johnson has very good speed for a catcher. Maybe not as good as Josh Paul, but still very good. And now he has it all his own way at 3-0.
As long as it's better than Gabe Paul, you're doing okay. 3-0 on 4 straight. 2 are on with 1 out. Sorotka is done, and let's see who pops out of the Sox dugout.
Paul Konerko, I believe. And the one advantage you get with Konerko is he doesn't run at all and is grounded into 9 double plays. But he's had a terrific year, hitting .297, 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter with a couple of runs driven in. So normally he's your starting first baseman, but not today, and that brings a little more thunder off the bench.
Wood in the mid-80s with his pitch count, and now he'll face Konerko. Konerko hit 24 home runs in 142 games for the Sox last year. And he's thinking drive it to a gap someplace. Tying runs at second in Lee. Soroka out of the game, gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. He scattered 4 hits. One of them, though, left the ballpark after a walk, and that's why the Cubs are leading. Konerko at .297. He's driven home 54. Big chance for the Sox here in the pitch. Swung, driven, deep left, hooking, and foul. He didn't miss by much.
Well, that had plenty of distance, but it was foul by maybe 30 or 40 feet. As Kerry Wood tries to get inside, Paul Konerko knows that he hooked it. And he hit it well foul.
I think I'd be careful if I threw a pitch in that area again. No balls and a strike. Took a little off. Ground ball left side, through for a hit. Lee around third. Hill has no play. Game tied 2. Pinch hit single for Konerko. It's a 2-2 game. Jerry Manuel pushes the right button again.
And Kerry Wood gets burned on the breaking ball. RBI number 55. And for the first time today, the Sox have tied it up. Jerry throws the off-speed breaking ball. Konerko gets just enough of it to get it through the left side. So the base hit by Lee, his 3rd of the day, comes back to tie the score.
And the Cubs not out of the woods yet. Konerko pumps that fist. Big hit today. Ties it at 2. And now here's Durham, who doubled his last time up.
Mike Soroka still in line to perhaps win this game. The worst he can do is get a no decision. But first you have to navigate your way through Durham and possibly Valentin.
And boy, the one walk he gave up really hurt him, didn't it? A strike to Durham. It was the leadoff walk to Sosa. And then Buford unloaded with a 2-run homer. But the Sox coming back in the 7th to tie it at 2. Listen to the Southsiders here.
And of course, predictably, the Cub fans are booing the "Let's Go Sox" chanters.
Strike. The pitch. Over below. It's 2-1. Uh-oh, 3 balls and a strike. Another bad one, and I would expect Oscar Acosta to pop out of that dugout for the Cubs.
Well, he already was on the phone, and he wants the bullpen up and going, and going it is. It looks like Tim Worrell.
The 3-1. And that's news, folks. Durham walks. The bases are loaded. Second walk for Ray. 4th walk of the game for Wood. Out comes Oscar. And now big problems for the Cubs in the 7th.
Oscar wants to kill a little time and make sure that Worrell is loosened up. He will not be taking Kerry Wood out of this game just yet. But it's been a very, very difficult 7th inning.
Well, how about Durham, a man that had walked 32 times in 340 at bats, has walked twice in 4 appearances this afternoon.
And his RBI double in the 5th inning put the White Sox on the board for the first time. So Oscar Acosta sharing his wisdom with Kerry Wood. The bases full of Sox, only 1 out here in the 7th in a game tied at 2.
Meaning a brief one. And now here's Valentin. He's 0 for 3 again. If you can get ahead of this guy, you don't have to throw him a strike. You can let him get himself out.
Get a ground ball right now. Okay. Do we trust enough to go with the changeup right now to get a ground ball? Yeah. Huh?
Popped up. How about that? In play for Grace or Girardi. Joe makes the grab. And Wood heads up play, covers the plate. Valentin pops up and foul ground with the bases loaded. That's out number 2, but here's Frank Thomas.
Well, we know that Valentin is a very impatient hitter, and instead of getting a pitch he could handle, he pops the first changeup straight up in the air. Girardi does a nice job after looking at Grace, and now he leaves it up to Big Frank.
And look at this place. Here's the matchup everybody wanted to see. Tie game, bases loaded, 2 outs. Wood against Frank Thomas. And Carey's going to the windup. Thomas 0 for 3 today. The pitch. Strike over the outside corner.
If he gets Frank Thomas here, this place is going to erupt.
It'll be the biggest ovation Chris Chelios ever got. And he's waiting to sing in a moment. Bases loaded, 2 outs, game tied. Swing, popped up 0-2. So Carey's got every weapon at his disposal now. Ahead 2 strikes. The 0-2. Struck him out. Say cheese. Frank Thomas strikes out. Bases loaded. The Sox, however, tie the game at 2. But Kerry Wood gets Valentin, gets Thomas, and gets the dugout with a game even. Well, what a way to start the weekend. Cubs and Sox are tied at 2. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning, and Bill Seamus on to pitch for Soroka. And he's going to face Sosa, Hill, and Nieves. And look at this pitch to Frank Thomas.
Well, he was looking for anything but an 0-2 curveball right down the middle of the plate. And he just takes a walk back with no argument.
That's all you can do is tip your cap. And we tip our cap to Chris Chelios, who joins us here in the bottom of the 7th inning after his fine rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. I see you have worn your shall I say unbiased colors.
Yeah,
today.
I had to go with the unbiased, be a little political here.
Well, I like it. It's the Harry Carey shirt. We're always in favor of that. But welcome to Wrigley and welcome to the Crosstown Classic.
Thank you. This is great. Perfect day.
Bouncing ball foul off the bat of Sosa. No balls, 2 strikes. Obviously, everybody wants to know, how about your year last year with the Red Wings?
Good year. Real fortunate I stayed healthy all year. The playoffs obviously were a big disappointment. We ran into a pretty tough team in Colorado.
Nothing in 2.
Tell us a little bit about your charity golf tournament. Last year raised over $200,000. And you got to be very happy with that charity tournament. Where is it? And where can we expect it?
We have it September 5th out at Big Run Country Club out in Lamont. The family, Greg G and his family and his parents, they've been pretty much donating the course to us. And Father Smith in Maryville, most of the charity funds go to him. So it's a great turnout, and I'm really fortunate to get the support from the Chicago people.
1-2 to Sammy. High fly ball driven right center field. Singleton running from pillar to post. Calls off Ordonez, and there's out number 1.
When you first started your career, when you first laced on the skates professionally, could you have believed that you would have played 17 years?
No, I mean, especially with the way things have gone. I've been fortunate to be on good teams, great players, teammates. So, you know, I look back in my career, I'm very fortunate, especially coming out of Chicago. There are not too many kids that really make it, but, you know, I've been lucky. I know that.
And you got it with a very good team at the Red Wings. That must
Right.
be exciting. I have season tickets to the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
You guys would come in, it would be quite a game.
Yeah, there's a lot of relocated Chicago people out there, so they got a pretty good hockey crowd. And, you know, with Gretzky taking over, that should help things out there, too.
What's it like playing for Scotty Bowman?
I don't know if you ever met him. It's kind of strange. Not very much of a relationship with his players, but he's a genius. Great coach. You know, his record speaks for itself. And like I said, I'm real fortunate to go to a team like Detroit and end it on a note like this.
When you're done, do you envision yourself following in his footsteps? Would you like to coach, or could you coach today's player?
Well, if I could do it out of my backyard, I'd do it. But I'm kind of getting sick of the traveling, so I'll take a couple years off and see what happens. And I'd like to stay with hockey. I've always enjoyed it. I got a couple boys that play, and I'd like to keep them involved.
1 ball, 1 strike to Glenn Allen Hill, who hits here in the Cubs 7th.
At the time, Chris, did you get any resistance being the first American-born player to be the captain of the fabled Montreal Canadiens?
Well, there was an issue, obviously. I mean, you see what happens. Even Quebec, the politics are trying to separate from Canada, so they made it an issue, but I didn't feel like that. The team, you have your support from the team and your teammates and management, so I really didn't look at it as a big deal.
And it was Mike Keenan, wasn't it, that brought you back here?
Yeah, probably the happiest day of my life and the saddest day, but you know, he was great to me. You know, how fortunate I could have been to come back and play in my hometown for 9 years, and you know, the first 5 or 6 were pretty good years.
Glenn Allen Hill takes strike 3 over the inside corner. And now Jose Nieves bats. He's popped up twice. He's 0 for 2, and the game's tied at 2. We're visiting with Chris Chelios, fine defenseman for the Detroit Red Wings. Steve Stone, Chip Carey from the ballpark, and a little roller toward third. Carey up and across in time, and the Cubs out 1, 2, 3. Chris, thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and good luck the rest of the way. Chris Chelios, class act. And we go to the 8th inning, game tied at 2. Let's take a look at today's Dodge drive of the game. A 2-run homer by Damon Buford.
That's the reason why we're tied at 2. The Cubs had the lead at the time, but the Sox have clawed their way back. So that is the Dodge drive of the game. Damon Buford's 12th home run of the year. And Brant Brown is taken over, and he will be the defensive replacement in left field.
So to the 8th we go, and Maglio Ordonez leads things off again. No rest for the weary. If you're out on that mound, not with this White Sox lineup. Very balanced, very potent, and Ordonez looking to get on the board with a base hit. He's done that in 10 straight games, has nothing going today. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Wood has been held in check, and so has the Cubs offense. Again, struggling to get anything going. Credit the White Sox, but in honesty, that's been the case for this Cub team all year long.
Kerry was at his best when he had to be, retiring Valentin and Frank Thomas with the bases loaded and the game on the line in the 7th inning. Now he has to hope that his offense can come to life against what has become a very good White Sox bullpen.
He didn't go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I want to wish a very happy 10th birthday to a big Cub fan at the game today, Bryant Kasanovich. He upstairs to visit us an inning or so ago. And a happy belated 4th birthday to Mitchell Kerr, Kathy Kerr's nephew, watching in Springfield, Illinois. 2-2. High drive, belted deep left. Brant Brown at the track. He's at the wall. He's got it, 1 down, and that didn't miss by much.
Fortunately, that wind is still blowing straight in. Otherwise, it's not a tie game, as Brant Brown used just about every inch of left field to haul that one down in front of the ivy. Again, this is a slider, and that's where Kerry's gotten hurt today, on the breaking ball. Brant Brown, with good concentration, goes back and makes a catch with about 2 feet to spare.
Here's Perry, 1 for 3, a single in the 2nd inning. He also wrapped into an inning-ending double play in the 6th. And that's ball 1 outside. More activity in the Sox bullpen now.
Keith Folt pitched out of a real tough jam in Kansas City. Bases loaded. Only 1 out. 3-0 count on Mike Sweeney. Fought his way back out of the hit into a double play, and the Sox won it in 13.
Ouch. Perry gets hit by a pitch. Last thing Kerry wanted to do for that's the potential go-ahead run.
Kerry Wood has hit his 5th man of the year. And there is no way Perry could have gotten out of this one. This one just follows him across and gets him right in the ribs. And again, to the credit of Herbert Perry, nothing much you can say here because you know that there's no way in the world Kerry Wood was trying to throw at him.
So here is Singleton. He's 0 for 3.
I'd like to see Nieves come in a step or two to try to take the bunt away.
Strike 1 to Singleton.
Now Jeff Reed is going down, and he'll probably loosen up, as will Tim Worrell.
Jeff's going to assume guard duty for the moment. And let's see if the Cubs can turn a pair here. One ball, 1 strike.
Singleton has only grounded into 2 double plays in 295 at bats.
And he's got the advantage, of course, of hitting from the left side of the plate. 1-2.
And the man in the on-deck circle is the man that Kerry Wood has been unable to retire today, Carlos Lee, who's 3 for 3, and he scored a couple.
So let's worry about him in the 9th, and hopefully with the lead.
You'd have to be real quick to double Singleton.
1-2. Line drive, right field, base hit. Perry on his way to second, stops there. 2 on, 1 out. And now you do have to face Lee. However, you face him with an RBI situation. He's 3 for 3 and has scored both White Sox runs. Pitch count approaching 110 for Wood.
Well, this is where things started to get away from Kerry in Milwaukee in the 8th inning with an out. Singleton gets a low fastball, drives it into right field. So the game on the bases as far as the Sox are concerned.
And the conundrum for Don Baylor is this. Your best chance might be to go with a fading Kerry Wood than a bullpen that's been incendiary the last couple of weeks.
Carlos Lee has grounded into 7 double plays this year. He's got pretty decent but not great speed. Kerry has not been throwing a lot of ground balls the last few innings, but he did end the 6th with a double play ground ball.
2-0. And now Oscar Acosta again pops out of the Cub dugout. Again, Oscar, last inning when Valentin was in the batter's box, was shooting for that changeup or a ground ball. Instead, Valentin popped the changeup up for a big second out. And then, of course, Frank Thomas struck out on one of the best curveballs Kerry's thrown all day today.
Marty Foster's going to go out and break this up. Oscar just wants to tell him what to do. He's not going to take him out, although Worrell is ready to go.
No blow right now. Okay? We got to get this hitter right here, Biggin. All right? A little fastball low on the way right now. Get your little ground ball to Ewing. We'll be out of this inning. All right? This time. You with me? Just get up on top, throw the ball downhill, Biggin. All right? Let's go do it. Come on.
Well, I liked what Ewing said there. It's turn. You get it to me, it's turn. We'll get you out of the inning. 2 balls and a strike.
Little pep talk from Oscar Acosta. Wanting Kerry to keep the ball down. And you have to watch that hole on the left side. That's where Lee loves to hit the ball.
He's perfect today. 3 for 3. Oh, unhittable. Lee can't believe that call. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He thought that one was low and away. Marty Foster thought it was good enough. Watch it again, and you can understand where he would think it'd be low and away.
That ball was cutting back toward the hitter. And again, the Cubs might have gotten a break from the man in blue. So big turnaround. Instead of it 3-1, it's 2-2. Perry at second, Singleton at first for the Sox in the 8th.
And Joe Girardi going to the mound to make sure there is no confusion as to just exactly what he wants to do with a man who's 3 for 3.
Swinging. Boy, this guy's made big pitch after big pitch, hasn't he?
He's had to make big pitch after big pitch. He digs himself in a hole and then starts to dig himself out. Good hard slider low and away. And for the first time today, he retires Carlos Lee.
And Lee upset, obviously, with that effort, but really more upset about strike 2. So 2 on, 2 out now for Johnson. He's flying to center, sacrificed, walked, and was stranded when Big Frank was caught looking in the 7th. What a game. What a start to the weekend. And what a way to end the first half of the year. Cubs Sox here at Wrigley Field. A 1-1. Didn't mean to. Wood ahead now. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Gary is 1 big pitch away from getting out of this 8th inning and keeping the score tied. And the fans here on their feet yelling for Gary to put an end to it.
The 1-2. Little flare, shallow right center field on the run. Buford, he's got it. And the inning is over. Sox had him first and second, 1 out. They fail to score in the 8th. Kerry Wood has pitched his heart out. Now the offense has to give him a run and give the Cubs the lead.
Fox Sports Net's coverage of Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. Log on for low fares at www.southwest.com, a symbol of e-freedom. Hyundai, where driving is believing. Your local Ford store. Quality people, quality products. AT&T Cable Services. And by Toyota. See your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Toyota dealers. Real value every day.
Gorgeous day for baseball at Wrigley and a game worthy of the weather. 2-2 our score, and Damon Buford hits a hot shot to short. Valentine handles flawlessly. 1 pitch, 1 out in the 8th.
The 4 games that these 2 teams have played against one another have all been extravaganzas. Very hard fought. The Sox won 2 of 3 across town, and this one tied at 2 as the bullpen starts to work once again, and that probably will be it for Kerry Wood. So Mike Sorotka got an OD and 117 pitches for Kerry Wood, and some of them with his back to the wall. He made some great pitches to get out of some tough jams.
Joe 0 for 2, a 7-game hit streak working into today's play. And again, when you look at Kerry, you look at baby steps toward progress. And for a guy that came in with the ability to just throw 97, 98 miles an hour and just blow the ball past people, the art of learning how to pitch, I think, is one that he is starting to learn and master very, very well. Obviously, the ERA, obviously the 1-loss record doesn't show that. But the pitches he made to Thomas, the pitch he made to Johnson were just outstanding. And a sign of things to come, we hope, once Kerry gets that strength back in that brilliant right arm.
Well, there's nothing wrong with his competitiveness and the spirit to which he goes to the mound every day. Because when he had to make the big pitch today, he made it.
1-2 to Joe. And he is out on strikes. Seamus has been spotless. 5 up, 5 down, and Jeff Hewson will be the man summoned to pinch hit for Wood. Two-two game in the 8th. And this will be the final. Well, that will be the final hitter that Seamus will face as he works an inning and 2/3. No runs, no hits, no walks, and a pair of strikeouts. And now that Hewson is announced to the pen, go the White Sox. 2-2 game. It's our Primeco call to the pen, and this one's been special here at Wrigley Field. Jim Rome interviews the biggest names in sports on The Last Word. It's been called the Nightline of Sports Television. Don't miss the best guests and the hottest topics in sports. The Last Word with Jim Rome, weeknights after Sports Geniuses on Fox Sports Net. Left-hander Kelly Wunsch is on to face Jeff Hewson.
Wunsch has some pretty impressive numbers. 3-2, 2.34 ERA, on for the 45th time. He's a side-wheeling, almost submarine left-hander who is awfully tough on the left-handers.
And a little roller right back to the mound. One pitch. 1 out. And to the 9th we go. Wunsch leads the American League in appearances. That was his 45th. He just added to his all-important hold total as well. That was number 16. 2-2 game. Our producer of Cubs baseball on Fox Sports Net is Bob Albrecht. Our director is Dave Turner. Our associate producer is Joe Corneo. Our stage manager Kathy Kerr. Our production manager Moheen Ramsey. And the executive producer is Dan Lafferty. Our thanks to the folks in the game room who put in a lot of extra work and a lot of extra time for their pregame show and the postgame show that will follow us from Wrigley Field. And the Cubs hoping that their 2 W's, Wood and Worrell, will add up to a 3rd W in the opening game of the weekend series.
Worrell against Jeff Abbott. That's going to be the matchup as Abbott comes on a pinch hit. And Worrell comes into this one for the 18th time. A fine ERA of 1.45, an 0-1 record.
And a quick strike.
There you look at some pretty impressive numbers, but those are numbers overall, not just in the National League.
National League numbers for Worrell. 0-1, a 145 earned run average, 15 strikeouts, 6 walks in 18 2/3 innings. Your American League stats don't carry over to your full line when you change leagues. Tim really struggled with Baltimore, but has been, along with Todd Van Poppel, one of the big reasons for what until recently was a big turnaround in a positive fashion for the Cub pen. 2 balls and a strike to Jeff Abbott. A 2-2 game in the 9th. High fly ball hammered pretty deep, but it should be playable. Brown at the edge of the warning track makes the catch. And there's out number 1. That ball kept going and going. And there's out number 1 for the Sox in the 9th.
A couple of good plays by Brant Brown. That one deep in the corner. So now you move to the top with the 2 switch hitters, Durham and Valentin, and Durham has had a pretty good day.
A pair of walks, a stolen base, an RBI double. And so he's 1 for 2 and now has a 7-game hitting streak. That's in for strike 1. Baldwin, Durham, and Ordonez on their way to Atlanta for the All-Star game. And that trio richly deserves the accolades. They've had a great first half.
And Cal Eldred certainly was given some consideration at 10-2, as well as Big Frank, but you have to leave somebody off.
Popped up. That should be playable. Who wants this one? It's tailing towards short, and Ricky Gutierrez directly behind the bag puts it away, 2 down. The Cubs will have the top of our order due up in the bottom half of the ninth. But let's take care of Valentin first. A pair of strikeouts, a pair of pop-ups on the infield for Valentin.
Even though Thomas is in the on-deck circle, Valentin, with 13 home runs, probably thinking about trying to take one out. He hasn't had a particularly good day at the plate. In 4 at-bats, he hasn't had it out of the infield yet. This is when he becomes particularly dangerous.
0-1, this is low. Both teams have played perfectly on defense. An errorless game. 11 hits combined by these two squads. And the count 2-0 now.
Valentin is one of their best, if not the best, base runner on this team. So you can't afford to put him on via the base on balls. He's stolen 9 of 10.
Popped up left side. Wind pushing that one toward the seats. And strike one.
Man made a very nice play after that one bounced off a few hands, so he has a souvenir and he's awfully excited.
Sox pen busy again.
It's Keith Foulke for the second time. Foulke has taken over the job as the closer of this team. Bobby Howry had it. Foulke has saved 16. Of course, it would be a non-save situation unless the Sox can push one across.
2-1. Ooh, just missed inside. Worrell wanted that pitch. Didn't get it. 3 balls and a strike now.
And this is where if you're a home run hitter, you're thinking about hitting it out.
3-1. Jammed it. Little pop. Can anybody catch up? Yeah. It's going to be Eric Young makes the grab. And Worrell puts him down 1, 2, 3 in the ninth. Top of the order coming up for the Cubs. Let's see if we can win this one in the ninth. It's even at 2. We go to the bottom of the ninth inning. Top of the Cub order is due against one of the American League's best young arms, right-hander Keith Foulke. And what do the White Sox think of that white flag trade now that they have this guy closing things out late?
Well, it's Foulke and Howry coming over in that late season deal. And Keith Foulke has been terrific. 1-0, 3.29 ERA, on for the 39th time. We talked about the 16 saves. But he gets the ball over the plate. He has more strikeouts than innings pitched. He has, however, given up 8 home runs. One of them, you might recall, to Sammy Sosa trying to save a game, as Sammy hit a 2-run homer on a changeup over on the south side.
EY 0 for 3 today. Leads it off and hits it in the air straight away center field. He's been real anxious and he's hitting the ball into the atmosphere. That's not his game. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Well, he does have 5 home runs. However, on a day like today, we don't want the little men hitting the ball in the air. Too much wind and too big a ballpark with a 15-mile-an-hour wind blowing straight in.
You mentioned, Steve, Foulke pitching out of that bases-loaded mess in Kansas City. That is a real big turnaround for him, for he was having all kinds of problems prior to that appearance against the Royals.
Well, I would say, Chip, if you're looking for some odds, with a 3-0 count and the bases loaded, only 1 out, you're in extra innings, odds of getting out of that might be 95, 96% against you, and yet he threw strike 1, strike 2, and got the double play with 5 infielders behind him.
That missed outside, ball 2. In fact, in the 3 previous outings before the Wednesday bit of magic, he gave up 10 runs in 2 2/3 innings. That might have been the magical turnaround for him. And a quick strike, 2 and 1. This guy also a bit of a throwback too. More of his saves than not have come in appearances that last longer than an inning. Which is another nice weapon. And how about Ricky? Sits down. He swung so hard. Dirt on his backside, egg on his face. 2 and 2 the count.
Well, last year Foulke was a setup man for Howry, and this year Howry's a setup man for Foulke. And Ricky trying to hit that ball onto the building across the street. No contact, except when he hit the ground.
Here's the 2-2. Full count, 3 and 2. What could lead to the winning run.
What makes Foulke so special is a lot like Trevor Hoffman. He's got a great straight change. And Trevor Hoffman is not overpowering, but he's one of the great closers in the National League. Keith Foulke is not overpowering, but his changeup is the equalizer.
And with 16 saves, that's 3 more than his career total entering this year. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Rickey. Bases empty, 1 out in the ninth. He fought that pitch off and stays alive.
Rickey gets on here in pretty good shape with Grace and Sosa coming up.
The Cubs with 4 hits. That's it. Need somebody to get on here. The pitch. He walked it. Winning runs on in the ninth with 1 out. So here's Grace, 4 for his last 41. And 0 for 3 today. Pretty good speed over at first. A gapper might win it.
Ordonez awfully deep in right field. He figures he can live with the single, but not the double.
High hopper towards second. Only play is to first. It's in time, and now we'll see how the Sox play it with Sosa here. First base open. Gutierrez to second. 2 men out. You have a left-handed bat and Brad Brown on deck if you decide to put Sosa on here.
Well, here comes Nardi Contreras. And the old adage about never allow the superstar to beat you might be negated with the lefty in the on-deck circle.
Sosa, as you mentioned, Steve, 1 for 2 this year. That hit a home run against Foulke. Brad Brown has only faced him 1 time and did not reach. He's the man on deck.
Well, I think Contreras is probably telling him, look, you do have first base open. Let's see if we can nibble at the corners on the first pitch or 2. Worst comes to worst, you fall down 2-0. We can always put him at first base. Maybe you'll get a call from Marty Foster on something out of the zone.
Or maybe Sammy will get himself out, which has happened a time or 2 in the Crosstown Classic this year.
Well, as tough as the White Sox were on Sosa in White Sox Park with 9 strikeouts, you'd have to figure that this would be a bit of redemption for him.
Sammy a base hit back in the 4th.
I'd just be amazed if they gave him anything too good to hit.
Well, Sammy knows that. Let's see if Foulke and Johnson know that. And again, they have to meet.
Well, they're going over the set of signs they want to use. Contreras is out there to talk about how they wanted to pitch Sammy. And now he calls Johnson out to get the signs straight.
Sosa 1 for 2. Winning run at second base. 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. He's trying for third. A strike and no throw. Johnson dropped it. Gutierrez steals third.
Fourth stolen base, and Rickey noticed nobody was paying any attention to him. Perry never went over to cover the bag, so nothing Johnson could do.
No balls and a strike to Sammy. That missed too far away. Ball 1.
Foulke with just 1 wild pitch this year. And that last pitch was a pretty good pitch.
A hit wins it for the Cubs. The 1-1. Outside corner. 1-2.
Well, I think he's just going to stay out there and hope to get the benefit of a call. We'll watch it again. This looks like a slider. And Sammy doesn't like the call by Marty Foster. He got the benefit of the doubt on the pitch before, but not that time.
Do they go there again? 1-2. Looks like it. And they struck him out. We go to the 10th inning. Great pitching by Foulke. Ice water in his veins. Winning run 90 feet away. Sammy Sosa struck out. Frank Thomas has struck out. And the great pitching continues in the Crosstown Classic. Go to the 10th inning now. Here's a chance for Frank Thomas to gain some redemption. Thomas, Ordonez, and Perry for the Sox. Another tight ball game between these two city rivals. And bragging rights for the day certainly on the line this afternoon.
You got the bullpen up and going again for the Sox, as Tim Worrell has to go right through the heart of the order for them. And it's Bobby Howry, and what a 1-2 combination it is to have the luxury of both Polk and Howry out of that bullpen, along with Kelly Wunsch, who's been terrific. That's one of the reasons why the Sox are doing what they're doing. Well, it's pretty hard to score on that pen.
And that's the question today. Whose pen will crack first? The Cubs has not pitched very well. The White Sox has. And a strike to Thomas, who has not had a particularly good day today. Frank 0 for 4. He has struck out twice.
Cubs in extra innings, just 5 and 10. Not too good. Sox 3 and 3. When you have the kind of offense they have, you don't get into extra innings too often. But this has been a very well pitched game on both sides. Just 11 hits combined. And just 4 runs combined. And what's shaping up to be another one-run game.
Sox fans trying to make some noise. And Frank takes ball 2. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, that's always characterized Frank Thomas, is his tremendous eye at the plate, his command of the strike zone, and very rarely will he swing at a bad pitch.
63 walks. And counting today, 52 strikeouts, and robbed it short. Ricky Gutierrez, a full-out dive, takes away a base hit. That almost took him into left field with
Frank 0 for 5 today. And this slider looked like it was ticketed for left center field, but Ricky Gutierrez had other ideas, and you retire the all-important leadoff hitter.
So here's Maglio Ordonez, a chance for him again in extra innings to extend that hit streak. It's at 10. And he looks upstairs at ball 1.
He just missed hitting the ball out of the ballpark in the 8th inning. Had it just off the end of the bat, but took it 2 feet in front of the wall.
Crowd settling in now in the 10th. And he looks that one below the knees. 2 balls, no strikes. Again, the Sox with a 10.5 game lead over the Tribe. The Indians are playing in Cincinnati tonight. The 2-0. 2-1. 5-time Ordonez 1 for 3 against Worrell.
This one looks like it might have been up and out of the zone, but Maglio thought that he could hit that one out of the ballpark, so he aired it out.
Catches the corner, 2-2. Struck him out inside corner.
I don't think Ordonez can believe that call for Marty Foster. He just gave him a couple inches outside, and this one was inside. Joe Girardi kind of brings this one back, and Maglio can't believe it. Cub fans absolutely love it.
So 2 up, 2 down in the 10th. And here's Perry. He's been on a couple of times. Once by hitting the ball, once by the ball hitting him. He's batting .500 on the day. And his battle with the baseball, strike 1.
He's the man that won it in Kansas City with his late inning heroics.
2 balls and a strike. White Sox are 15-7 in 1-run games. The Cubs 15-16 this year. The 2-1 off his thumbs and into the seats. 2-2. Again, looking ahead to the bottom of the 10th inning. Brant Brown, Jose Nieves, and Damon Buford are scheduled. The 2-2. Almost plunked him again. Full count, 3-2 now. The payoff. Struck him out too. Boy, Worrell has been outstanding. So far, the game is even. The bullpens are even. And we'll see if the Cubs again can win it in the 10th this time. Brant Brown, Jose Nieves, and Damon Buford try to win the game for the Cubs in the bottom of the 10th inning. But again, that 1-2 tandem of Folk and Howry makes an appearance to Wrigley Field. Folk out of the game with an inning of shutout baseball. Now it's Bob Howry's turn.
Howry comes in at 1-1. The ERA 3.38, on for the 36th time. He's given up just 3 home runs in those previous 35 appearances. And he's got a terrific fastball. Another one of those guys that came over from the San Francisco Giants. Last year was the closer. This year used as a setup man primarily, but at times interchangeable with Keith Folk.
What a luxury that is for the Sox. And Howry will face a left-hand hitter in Brant Brown. Lefties have only 11 hits in 70 tries against this guy in the 2000 championship season. Let's see if Brant can add to that total or even win it, perhaps for the Cubs. This is his first at bat on the day. He came in defensively in the 7th inning. Steve Stone, Chip Carey as we approach 5 o'clock in Chicago, and ball 1 sails high and away. More activity in the Sox bullpen.
Cubs would love to get Brown aboard because he's got pretty good speed, and he would represent the winning run.
That's low. 2 balls, no strikes. The Sox have left 8 men on base today. The Cubs have stranded only 2.
Sean Lowe throwing in the pen.
Paint job over the corner, 2-1. John Lieber and James Baldwin tomorrow at Wrigley. Then Kevin Tapani, Cal Eldred toil on Sunday. 3 good pitching matchups. If the rest of the weekend is as today's game has gone, the folks in Chicago and around the country will be treated to an absolutely wonderful finish to the first half of the year. Howry's battle back to run at 2-2. The pitch to Brown. Takes care of business. 2 straight balls, then 3 straight strikes. 1 away in the Cubs' 10th.
Nothing fancy here. He just throws a fastball right by him. So Brant Brown down on strikes.
And Nieves the hitter. Jose has yet to get the ball out of the infield.
Cubs have been held to just 4 hits, and Damon Buford has 2 of them.
Well, that sounds familiar, unfortunately. And Griffin ball in for a strike. And this is a Cub team that's hitting around 215, 216 in the last 10 games or so. Got a great start from Kerry Wood, but Kerry won't figure in the decision, nor will Mike Sorotka. No balls, 2 strikes quickly to Nieves.
Jose hasn't had the ball out of the infield. And the Sox outfield playing around toward right center, a couple steps deeper than normal.
Wind really blowing in briskly now as we look at the flags high atop the Wrigley Field scoreboard.
I think Marty Foster's right arm started to twitch, but he couldn't bring himself to ring him up.
So new life for Nieves, perhaps. 1-2. And again now to play. As a player, Stoney, did you ever envision a time when the Cubs would play the White Sox in regular season action?
Well, I felt that eventually there'd be interleague play. And I think eventually they will do away somehow with the DH and uniform both leagues.
1-2 is your count. That one a little flare into shallow right center field. Will it go into no man's land? Nope. Singleton's too quick for that. 2 up, 2 down.
I think what is going to happen in baseball, Chip, and I like to see this, is that we're going to go back to an unbalanced schedule where you're going to play within your division more than you play other divisions, so that if you do win it, you're going to have to win it against the teams that you compete with. And I will applaud the day that baseball goes back to that. It used to be like that. It used to play 18 and 12, where you had to beat the teams in your division to really win it. And in September, more times than not, you would play in the division.
Buford, the batter. Well, an example of how the schedule nowadays hurts a team. The Red Sox, for example, they're trailing Toronto. They're done with Toronto before the All-Star break. They have only 3 games left with the Yankees in the schedule. That makes absolutely no sense.
Well, if you have the lead, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right, but if you try to catch people, it makes it tough. Buford tries to split the gap. But Lee with a fine jump in left makes the play. And Howie works a 1-2-3-10. This fine pitching battle continues. We go to the 11th with a game tied at 2. On to the 11th we go. Game still tied at 2 with Steve Stone, Chip Caray from beautiful Wrigley Field. Tim Worrell will go through his 3rd inning of work here. He's been perfect through 2. 6 up, 6 down with a pair of strikeouts. And he'll face Singleton, Carlos Lee, and Johnson in the Sox 11th inning. What a ball game. What a crowd. 39,000 plus on hand. Rooftops are full. Standing up in the bleachers as well. Standing room tickets sold earlier.
Well, I think this is what they expected when they came out here, which was a very hard-fought game. With the wind blowing in, you expected a pitcher's duel. And this certainly has been that.
So Singleton, a base hit back in the 8th inning, 1 for 4 on the day. And he takes a sinker for a strike. The 0-1 pitch. Opt out of play. 0-2. Again, the Sox bullpen is busy. And it's low. Ball 1 to Singleton. Just a shade past 5 o'clock Chicago time.
Sox have used 5 pitchers. The Cubs just 2.
Ball 2. Little pop, shallow left. Long way to go for Brant Brown. He's got it in fair ground. Good running catch. Singleton pops out, 1 away in the 11th.
Brant Brown has done a real nice job coming on defensively for Glen Allen Hill. He's had 3 pretty difficult plays, and he's made them all. Long run for this one. The wind trying to knock it down, but he stays right with it.
Carlos Lee has been the arch villain today. 3 for 4 with both Sox runs scored. Outside corner. Boy, Lorell, so far so good. He's been perfect. 7 up, 7 down. A little too far away. 1-1 is the count. Well, a hearty congratulations to Keith McDonald of the Cardinals. First National League player and the second in baseball history to hit home runs in the first 2 at-bats of his career. And there's a looping liner into center field. Big day for Lee. He's 4 for 5. And he represents the go-ahead run.
Well, he's the second Little Mac for the Cardinals.
That's right.
Getting an opportunity because of the injury to Eli Marrero. And they brought him up, and who'd have thought that he'd hit a home run in his first 2 at-bats. And there's the 4th hit of the day for Carlos Lee. The Cubs have 4 hits total. Lee has 4 by himself.
And Bob Neiman of the old St. Louis Browns is the only other man to accomplish that feat some, I guess, 50 years ago or so. So here's Johnson. A gapper could put the Sox in front in the 11th inning. Johnson, a pair of flyouts to center, a sacrifice and a walk.
Not Van Poppel loosening up in the bullpen. He's up for the first time.
A chance a bit later on for Jeff Kent to extend his great play in the first half of the year. He's got 81 runs batted in already. A check swing rolls foul. I believe it was Kevin Mitchell who shares that record with Kent.
It was.
And he'll take aim at the Cardinals later on tonight as Kirk Reeder and Darryl Kyle lock horns at Busch Stadium. Cardinals lead over the Reds is 9 in the National League Central. 0-1 to Johnson. Cubs looking for a pair. 1-1 the count. Johnson a long look down toward third. Runner goes. Swing and a miss. The throw towards second is late. And to the wrong side of the bag.
Well, if the throw is on the money, they're going to get him. But that throw is on the third base side of the bag. And Carlos Lee has swiped his 5th base of the year. He had Mark Johnson well out in front of a change. Joe trying to get rid of it in a hurry, and you see how far Ricky Gutierrez has to go for the tag. So the go-ahead run in scoring position.
Randy Marsh got it right. And now Johnson, with 8 ribbies in the last 10 Sox games, has a scoring opportunity here in the 11th. He's down in the count, though. 1-2. The pitch. Good stop by Joe. 2-2 now.
Got Norton in the on-deck circle. Switch hitter who's better from the left side. Good stop by Joe Girardi. And Lee has to stay at second. This one gets by him. It's completely different at bat for Mark Johnson. So Tim Worrell now calling Joe Girardi out.
Eight White Sox hits, just 4 of them for the Cubs. Sorotka gave them all up. Seamus, Wunsch, Folk, and Howery have not allowed a hit since the 7th inning.
Now the outfield is not very deep all the way around, so on a base hit, we've got a good chance to see a play at the plate.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out. Frozen by the breaking ball. Third Worrell strikeout.
Looked like a slider. Johnson thought it was up. But Marty Foster thought it was good enough. So Greg Norton comes on a pinch hit. And the game is on the bases for the Sox. Norton, .274 hitter from the left side. Very rarely has an opportunity to hit from the right. And as a pinch hitter this year, he hasn't done anything yet.
Hasn't done anything overall either. He's 8 for his last 45 in 15 games. And that poor offensive streak has opened the door for Herb Perry, who has hit well. So Norton digs in. Chance to be the hero late. Runner at second, 2 outs. It's even 1-1.
Shows you the disparity between his left and his right hand hitting.
Norton hit 16 home runs for the Sox last year, but had 27 errors. Strike inside corner. 1-2. That inside edge to the respective hitters starting to get a little wide.
That sends Joe Girardi out to talk with Worrell. They do have first base open. And I'm sure with the struggles that Norton has endured, he's a very anxious hitter right now. Good time to try to get him out of the strike zone.
He's struck out 36 times, has walked only 18. 1-2 pitch. Little ground ball hit toward third. Nieves backs up. Good strong throw. Takes care of the Sox in the 11th. Boy, the pitching's been great for both sides. Worrell has allowed 1 hit in 3 innings. His spot is due second in the 11th. We go to the bottom of the 11th inning. 8-9-1 due up for the Cubs. 2-2 game. Very well pitched ball game. And here's how this ball game has unfolded over the weekend.
Damon Buford comes on with a 2-run homer. The Cubs didn't know at that point that would be all the scoring. And you see Ray Durham limping out of the box, but this RBI double cut the lead in half. And then in the 7th, Paul Konerko coming on to pinch hit, drives it through the left side. It tied it up. But with the bases loaded, Kerry Wood retired both Valentin and Thomas. And that's where we stand tied at 2 as Sean Lowe comes on for the 37th time. And it has not been the best of years for Lowe. His ERA 6.09. Last year he had a terrific year for this ball club. 4-1, 3.67 ERA in 64 games. As he was used as a swingman in the middle. He had nary a save.
Well, May, June, and so far in July, it's been real low for Lowe. 20 runs and 18 2/3 out of that White Sox bullpen.
You got Henry Rodriguez in the on-deck circle. He'll come on to pinch hit for Tim Worrell, who was brilliant here today in relief of Kerry Wood.
That missed outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. If you're looking for an advantage, one very simply right now is the White Sox starting to run out of pitchers down there. They have Byrne and Pena left in that bullpen. The Cubs with Garibay, Heredia, Van Poppel, Rain, and Aguilera. All that could be mad academic if somebody could knock one out of the ballpark here and put this one into the win column for the Cubs. That one rolls foul. 2-2.
One of the toughest things to do is win an extra inning game on the road. Sox were able to do that Wednesday night. And they had to go 13 to do it.
Lowe, a former Cardinal. The 2-2. Bouncing ball up the middle. Winning runs on here in the bottom of the 11th.
Well, I think you got to call Henry back now, and you got to put somebody up that can lay down a bunt. And that somebody's going to be Ismael Valdez.
So Valdez will try to advance Girardi here. Well, the pitchers helped us win the game up in Milwaukee last week. With all those pinch hitting appearances late, let's see if Valdez can get the job done.
Well, I would bunt it right at Frank. Put some pressure on him.
Valdez has 4 sacrifices. And this is a man for the Cubs who's only appeared in 9 games. First attempt, however, is fouled off.
Joe Girardi with better than average speed for a catcher. And he's just waiting for Valdez to get it in play. And again, Frank hasn't been out there all that often at first base. So you just as soon bunt it toward him as Pena starts loosening in the pen.
He got it down. Lowe looks at second. Only one play. Good sacrifice. Number 5 for Ismael. And now the winner is 90 or 180 feet away out at second base with only 1 out in the 11th.
Very good bunt by Valdez. And I guess the question you ask yourself, if you're Jerry Manuel, is do you put Eric Young at first base? Now, he's really struggled, but he's a very good contact hitter.
Doesn't strike out much. Then you have a chance to face Gutierrez and get the double play ground ball. Sets up the forces, but we'll see what they do here. The Cubs taking a page out of the White Sox offensive book, playing a little of that bitty ball. That's what Jerry Manuel calls some of their offensive attack. A leadoff single, a sacrifice, and now Ely 0 for 4 on the day. Girardi a huge lead out at second. The 0-1. Bouncing ball up the middle. Funny hop for Valentin. Makes the play beautifully. Runner to third, 2 outs, and here's Gutierrez. Cubs were 1 or 2 extra inches on that hop away from winning it.
That one hit the seam right where the grass met the dirt and almost bounced over the head of Valentin. Lowe has 2 wild pitches this year, and the Cub fans would love to see him put an end to it.
A game winner 90 feet away, but it'll take a big 2-out hit. The Cubs with a grand total of 5 safeties total on the day. The pitch right through there, strike 1. You have Grace on deck. You have Pena, the left-hander, warming in the Sox pen. The 1-strike pitch. Bouncing ball. Knocked down by Perry from his knees. Throws him out. What a play. Game saver at the hot corner by Perry. Folks, if you love good baseball, you've loved this ball game. And we live to see the 12th. It's still 2-2. Game-saving play by Herbert Perry over at third. Forces the game to the 12th.
This one looked like it was going to get through, but from his knees after the dive, Perry makes the play, has enough to throw him out. And we told you that if Perry can get his hands on it, he'll make the play. And that one was a game saver for the moment. So we go right to the top with Durham, Valentin, and Thomas against the newest Cub pitcher, Todd Van Poppel, who's on for the 24th time, a 1.83 ERA and a 2-2 record. What a performance by Tim Worrell. 3 innings, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. That was it.
So the top of the White Sox order a chance now. Durham, Valentin, and Thomas. Right through there, 1 ball, 1 strike. Center field, that's trouble. Buford able to cut it off. Durham, big turn, puts on the brakes, and the leading run for the White Sox on in the 12th inning. Durham's had a fine day, the 4th time he's been on base.
He does have 1 stolen base, that coming in the 3rd inning. The Sox have stole a pair today. As Durham aligns this ball into right center, Buford does a nice job of getting to it and making sure that Durham has to stay at first. So he represents a go-ahead run.
So let's see if Valentin can show a little patience, or if he's bunting. He was, but took low. Valentin has hopped up 3 times and struck out twice.
Valentin has killed Van Poppel.
1-0. Oh, outside. They're giving us an out. Let's see if Tom can get it over the plate here. Straight away, pretty deep. Want to cut off the extra base hit in the outfield. Durham, short lead. Sent back standing up. The 2-0 pitch. The bunt high off the plate. Van Poppel has only 1 play. Good sacrifice. 1-4. So like the Cubs a half inning ago, the Sox able to execute. Now we'll see if their 2 and 3 hitters can drive home the go-ahead run. And again, Frank Thomas, a poor day today, a chance for the Redeemer.
In the 7th inning, Kerry Wood with an 0-2 count threw a curveball and just froze Thomas. Not much you can do about a perfect pitch. And now the question, if you're Don Baylor, is do you put him on first base?
Well, they've pitched to Sosa. The Cubs apparently are going to pitch to Thomas. He hit a rocket to short. It was called on a line. Strike at the knees, outside corner. Good of the batting eyes, probably not going to offer it that pitch, and he didn't. 1-1. Two and one. Dangerous play. Eric Young was moving toward the second base bag, and that pitch was on the outer half of the plate. The Cubs didn't get the call, and had Thomas smacked that ball to the right side, he would have had an easy base hit. Let's make sure Van Poppel and Young are on the same page here. Base hit left field. Durham rounds third. They're going to challenge Brown's arm. The throw, a lollipop, misses everybody. Into second goes Thomas, and the White Sox have the lead 3-2. A real bad throw in left by Brad Brown, and Frank Thomas drives home Durham, and the difference between these two offenses has shown up here in the 12th inning.
Well, this fastball's right down the middle, and Frank Thomas, who has fanned a couple of times, was 0 for 5 coming into that at bat, drives home the go-ahead. Now you walk Ordonez as Brad Brown airmails Joe Girardi. Durham scores the go-ahead, and the Sox aren't done yet.
Now they have Maglio Ordonez, and now you have to walk him intentionally. The Sox fans boo, as this will in all likelihood end Ordonez's 10-game hit streak, but he had several chances earlier today. He won't care about that, for his Sox now have a chance to win this one in 12. They're leading 3-2.
Well, the reason we're still here is coming up to bat, and that's Herbert Perry and his great play, retiring Ricky Gutierrez and forcing this game into the 12th. So the Sox fans at this point pretty happy about the way their bullpen has performed.
Haven't given up a hit.
And watch it again. Perry to his left from his knees. A game saver. And it allowed the Sox to push across the go-ahead run here in the 12th.
And here is the man of the hour, Herbert Perry, a base hit back in the second against Kerry Wood. And a ball outside. Sox fans don't put this one into the win column yet. The Cubs have Grace, Sosa, and Brown due in the 12th. Out of play for a strike. 1-1.
Joe Girardi back out to the mound again. And he's made a number of trips out there today.
This magical ride for the Sox continues. No matter what they do, everything they touch turns to gold. But that's the story of this game. You get some breaks, you make your breaks. And the Sox have made them.
Well, it's been a very well played and very well pitched baseball game to this point.
Outside, 2-1.
And the Sox fans chanting, "Let's go Sox," and the Cub fans shouting them down. There has been a feeling of electricity around the ballpark all day today. And 39,000 plus have enjoyed this one.
Line over third. That's a fair ball. Frank Thomas will round third. Takes a funny hop. He will score. Heading to third, Ordonez. It's a double for Perry, and the Sox have a 2-run lead.
Herbert Perry, one of the great pickups by Ron Schuler, who is certainly a leg up on American League Executive of the Year. As the White Sox have the best record in the American League, Herbert Perry, who was taken off waivers from the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, drives home another run, his 22nd. He's hitting over 300. He's been a huge factor in the game today.
What I really like about this Sox team, Stoney, is obviously they pound average pitching, they pound bad pitching, they really make you pay for mistakes. But when they face a team's ace, with this offense, they give you a huge battle too. There's never a game that they are overmatched offensively.
Well, and the thing that I like about him is that bullpen.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that will keep you in games like this one today. Eventually, this offense is going to get to you. But the bullpen makes sure that you hang around long enough to allow these hitters to do you some damage. And that's what's happened here today.
Infield has to come in with Singleton up. 2 in, 1 out. Squeezes on, and they've got Ordonez hung out to dry, and he's out of the baseline. So the Sox try to squeeze home another run, and the Cubs sniff that out. That's the second out. The Cubs had the best of that. That pitch tailing away from the left-hand hitter in an easy view for Girardi. All he had to do was catch the baseball and apply the tag.
And you see Marty Foster calling Ordonez out. He was way out of the baseline trying to avoid the tag.
So 2 strikes, runner at second, and that's downstairs for a ball. As you look at this White Sox team, Stoney, is there anything that they need as we are a little over 2.5 weeks to the trading deadline?
I think a lot depends on if Cleveland is going to put a run together or not. The Sox team is very sound. Obviously, they would like to get another starter if they could, but with so many teams looking for that other starter, I don't think Ron Schuler is going to trade some of those good young pitchers for 35, 36-year-old starter.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And that's pulled down the line, especially for a guy who really is going to fill the role on this team as an inning eater. A guy that'll get you 5, 6 innings per start, save that bullpen, save the wear and tear on those guys.
Well, they tried it with Kip Wells, and he had some problems, and now John Garland is up at that number 5 starting spot. And they believe Garland's going to be able to do it. It's tough for a rookie in a pennant race.
Little chopper back to Van Poppel. Singleton's retired, but the damage done for the Sox. And the Cubs, 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the 12th inning. Cubs have Grace, Sosa, and Brown due, but the Sox lead by a pair. Well, the Sox have had a good time at Wrigley today. 4-2 as we head to the bottom of the 12th inning. Grace, Sosa, and Brown are due for the Cubs.
Been an errorless game so far. And Sean Lowe, representing the 6th White Sox pitcher, in line to win this one, but he's got to go right through the heart of the order for the Cubs. Now the bullpen up and going for the Sox. And it's Pena once again.
So Lowe a chance to win it, and he'll have to go through the heart of the Cub order. And if this score stays the way it is, it'll be a first in the series this year. The first game that wasn't decided by 1 run. Big difference. It's been decided by 2 to this point. Here's Grace. And he takes a quick strike. Grace 0 for 4 on the day. 4 for his last 42. The Cubs offense has been held in check over the last 3 weeks or so, and that has been perhaps the most shocking situation for Don Baylor this year. Everyone coming out of spring training assumed that this club was going to hit. It has not hit consistently. Mark Grace hitting in the 280s. He's driven in 33 runs. He's batted cleanup a lot of the time before being hurt. Henry Rodriguez has not been the Henry Rodriguez on the north side the last couple of years. Grace foul past first. Injuries have taken their toll at third base, where Shane Andrews has been sidelined for the year. Willie Green's done an admirable job over there, but right now Jose Nieves has out-hit him, so he's playing every day. Sammy Sosa's put up Sammy Sosa-like numbers, but not the same numbers we've seen in the last 2 first halves. Grace smacks a single to left. He's 1 for 5, and the tying run comes to the plate. Here comes Sammy.
This base hit allows the tying run to come to the plate as Mark Grace gets a high fastball, drives it into left field.
Sammy 1 for 3 with a run scored. Home run cut and ripped straight back. The Cubs, a grand total of 2 hits since the 5th inning. And that's the first hit allowed by the Sox bullpen today. What an advantage that is. The 0-1 pitch. Waved and missed. 0-2. Sosa against Lowe is 1 for 4. That hit a base hit. Four-2 Sox. The pitch. Popped him up. Will that stay in play? Johnson gives chase. And it's into the seats. Sammy was reaching. And he'll hack again here.
I don't think that Mark Johnson was real happy with the location of this one. It hung right over the middle of the plate, and Sammy followed straight back. It sends Johnson out to the mound to talk with Lowe. That could have tied it up. Jerry Manuel has run deep in that pen. And so far, he has the advantage.
0-2 again. The pitch. Sammy looks at that one away. Sammy's become a very smart hitter. He's walking more. And he knows what happened to him in that last series. Again, you mentioned it, 9 strikeouts against the Sox, and the pattern was keep the ball away from him, let him get himself out. Hasn't done that much today. A 1-2. Line caught. double play. How about that? Perfect placement for Frank Thomas. The catch, the step. 2 down, bases empty.
Well, nothing Mark Grace could do on that one. They tell you not to get doubled up on the line drive, but when you take your secondary lead, that was just a rocket right at Thomas. And the Cubs down to their last out. You watch it again. Sosa trying to stay alive. And he hits this ball awfully hard, but Frank right there making the play, and Mark Grace just hung out to dry.
So Brant Brown, the Cubs' final hope. He struck out against Howry. The White Sox bullpen and Herbert Perry, the stars of this game, in my opinion, today.
Well, there's no doubt that when the bullpen got into this one, that was about it as far as the Cubs were concerned.
They've given up 2 hits in this, their 6th inning of work today. That's all. They've walked only 1 man. And the Sox fans start their game-winning chants. Don't say goodbye yet. The Cubs not dead quite yet. The 2-1. Grant swung at a pitch at his Adam's apple. 2-2. Another great start to the Crosstown Classic. Fans have enjoyed it. More so especially from the south side. And now Jerry Manuel is on his way out. Maybe Lowe hurt himself throwing that last pitch. Herm Schneider, the Sox trainer, out to check on the right-hander.
Well, he said he was okay. But Jerry Manuel not wanting to take a chance. And he's going to the bullpen.
So how about that? Lowe can't finish the game. And Pena will try to finish the game. Haven't seen this in a long time. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. Brant Brown, the hitter, the left-hander Pena, will come on to pitch. We're in the bottom half of the 12th inning. We'll be right back. Well, a chance for Jesus Pena to throw 1 pitch and pick up a save.
Be the first guy other than Folk and Howry to pick up a save. They have 20 of them. Folk has 16. Howry has 4. And Pena comes into this one with the occasional control problems. Nobody on, 2 out. 2-2 count on Brant Brown. And Jose Nieves in the on-deck circle. Now Johnson goes to the mound to talk with Pena.
Sox got 2 in the top of the inning. The Cubs got a leadoff hit from Grace. Sosa hit a soft line drive right to Frank Thomas, who all he had to do was catch it and step on the bag. And now Brant Brown digs in. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sox fans on their feet, and the pitch. That was that. 1 pitch ends the ball game, and the White Sox win game 1, 4-2 the final score. Their bullpen outlasted ours, and quite frankly, the Cubs offense continues to struggle. A 2-run, 2-out homer in the 2nd from Damon Buford, and that's all the offense the Cubs could muster today, but we had our chances and could not cash them in.
Well, in 12 innings, it took 7 pitchers. And the bullpen was unbelievable. Soroka gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. And then Seamus, Wunsch, Folk, Howry, Lowe, and Pena wrapped it up without giving up anything. And Frank Thomas is our Hyundai player of the game for his game-winning RBI in the 12th inning. But credit that Sox bullpen with keeping it alive until this talented offense could come and get the Cubs today. And the Sox have now beaten the Cubs 3 of 4 times.
6 innings of 2-hit baseball by the White Sox bullpen. And really only 1 mistake made by Mike Soroka today. That was the home run hit by Damon Buford in the 2nd inning today. And game 1 of this portion of the Crosstown Classic goes to the White Sox, a well-deserved win. Their 55th victory of the year, and the Cubs spiral continues. We're 18 games under. So gang, back in the studio, that's the story. White Sox win it in a dozen, 4-2 the final.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Joining us now here in the game room, we've moved from Wrigley Field back indoors where we have some air conditioning. Thank goodness for that.
Who you telling?
Yeah, Damon Andrews and Dave Otto. And Damon, first day on the job here on the air. You're a California guy.
Couldn't ask for a better game.
Quite a treat, huh?
Went out there, full packed house, about 39,000 at Wrigley Field. Was treated to a very good game. A pitcher's duel at one point, a little bit. Everybody was going out there and throwing strikes, putting it on the ground. Nobody was hitting anything except for in the second inning. Mike Soroka, a very good performance. Of course, Kerry Wood, magnificent, Dave, and he had the right stuff. And, of course, highlighted by some very big plays.
Well, I thought the key to this ball game was there's certain neither team refused. They didn't want to lose this ball game, and it was just comes down to a battle of the bullpens between the White Sox and the Cubs, and the White Sox come on top with their bullpen, and Jerry Manuel again using the whole bullpen, but tremendous elements to this ball game. Kerry Wood strikes out Frank Thomas with the bases loaded in the 7th inning. Keith Folk strikes out Sosa with the man on third in the 9th inning. Tim Worrell, 3 scoreless innings for the Cubs. Herbert Perry, diving play in the 12th inning, along with Frank Thomas, the game winner in the 12th.
Well, the Sox have really found a way to get it done all season, and good breaks have fallen their way. If you look at Wednesday's game against the Royals, it is Perry who winds up getting the game-winning home run. And then preceding that, with the bases loaded, Jerry Manuel winds up bringing in Carlos Lee to get out of a jam. And then you look at today's game with Perry and then also Frank Thomas getting it done. We want to take this back, though, now to Wrigley Field where Chip and Steve are standing by. Guys, what do you got?
Thank you very much. Steve Stone, Chip Caray back at the ballpark. Give the Sox credit. They won this one fair and square. 4-2 the final score. And with all the stars, all the all-stars playing for that White Sox team, I don't think any of us expected Herbert Perry to have the kind of impact he did in the game. But, Steve, he's been outstanding, and he's standing by our star of the game.
And, Herbert, when you were let go by the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, did you ever believe that you would fall in a situation like you've fallen into with the Chicago White Sox?
No, not really. I was just hoping to maybe catch on with a major league team somewhere and, have a chance to play, and this has been awesome.
What's it like playing third base for Jerry Manuel? I don't think anybody expected you to step in and get as much playing time as you have, but you keep hitting, you keep making the plays, and you're going to keep playing, right?
He's the easiest manager I've ever played for. I mean, this is the major leagues, and I feel like I'm playing high school or something like that because he's so laid back and he's so up front. I mean, he talks to you all the time, and he's just a great guy.
Your Sox have done it in extra innings with the best in baseball. Now, the other night, you were the hero. You hit a 2-run homer in the 13th inning. Today, as well as your offense, you did it with your glove. And take us through that particular at-bat where you saved the game with that diving play.
Well, there were 2 outs, and the guy was at third, but I don't remember who. I think it was Rodriguez, or I'm not even sure who came up to the plate, but I know it was the number 2 hitter, and he likes to bunt a little bit, and I didn't want to get too far back and be able to let him roll one in front of me, so I was playing even with the line. I mean, even with the bag, and he hit one to my left, and I just made a stab, and fortunately it went into my glove, and I came up and threw him out.
And then, of course, you had the big hit as well that scored Frank Thomas. A 2-base hit, and your White Sox going to win it by a score of 4-2. Herbert, the big question I guess folks have now, you guys have a huge lead in your division. Quite obviously, they play for Jerry Manuel, a very even-mannered, mild-tempered guy. Any worries at all about you guys maintaining your focus and intensity with the big advantage you have in the Central now?
Well, we've got a lot of season left to go. You never know what's going to happen in the course of the season, but this team just has fun. And, ever since I've been here, it hasn't been, where we are in the standings or anything like that. We just want to go out every day and beat the team that we're playing against. And as long as we maintain that focus and that type of feel going into every game, I think we'll be okay. I mean, I played with Cleveland in '95 when we ran off with it, and it was the same type of feel. And this team's pretty good. I mean, we score a lot of runs, and we've got good pitching. And, it's just a lot of fun to play. And as long as we're winning, we're going to keep having fun. So hopefully we can keep it going.
Well, no fun for Cubs fans today. We're trying to play the role of the spoiler, but you guys spoiled the party yourselves. Congratulations on a big day, and have fun tomorrow.
Thank you. Okay,
Herbert Perry, the star of this ball game as the White Sox beat us 4-2. Hopefully, Stoney, tomorrow John Lieber will have his ace stuff. He'll try to slow down this great offensive bunch from the south side.
Well, Cub pitching was pretty good today. They held a very potent offense in check. Unfortunately, the Cub offense, which has really been lagging behind again today, but credit that bullpen of the Sox. They were terrific as they've been all year long. 2
hits over 6 innings. That was the story as well, guys, and the Cubs fall to the Southsiders 4-2 the final. Let's send it back to you in the studio now.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Had a great game to call.
Thank you.
All right, see you, man. All right, let's talk about some of those big plays. So many of them, Dave and Damon, and we're going to talk about two of them. Herbert Perry's stab, got it done defensively, then set it up for Frank to slam the door.
Well, Herbert Perry's pretty much taken over the third base position for the White Sox, and he's shown tremendous footwork over there. First step quickness, and in the 11th inning, makes an outstanding play to his left, gives a little grounding from his knees, throws out Ricky Gutierrez to save the inning and save the ball game to set up Frank Thomas's game winner in the 12th against Van Poppel. Frank Thomas going into this at-bat 0 for 5. Ray Durham gets a great jump on this ball. Grant Brown launches it. Durham scores easily. Frank takes the extra base to set up Mags Ordonez intentionally walked, and then Herbert Perry later on gets a hit to give the White Sox the 4-2 lead.
I think Kerry Wood right now feels a little bit like John Lieber has felt earlier on this season. A tremendous performance, arguably his best of the season, going 8 strong, giving up only 2 earned runs and getting out of huge jams by himself in the 7th and the 8th.
No question about it. Pitched his tail off, and this is really the second time that he has done that for the Cubs. So now all of a sudden he's staying on his front side. He's going right at the plate. And Eric, as you mentioned, he made some big pitches in this ball game. And not only with his good stuff, but he changed speeds. And I thought that was a key to Kerry Wood today. I've talked before in the past about you don't want him to throw a bunch of changeups, but early on he threw a couple good ones behind in the count. Here to Valentine, Durham gets a stolen base, but by throwing that changeup every once in a while, gets guys off the fastball, and then he juices Valentine with the good high fastball. And even later on, here in the 5th inning, against Frank Thomas, got in on him a little bit to Frank. And with the wind blowing in, guys, throw strikes and let them put the ball in play, and that's exactly what Kerry Wood did. Now here's the sequence to Frank Thomas in the 6th inning. Outstanding job. Everything away, away, away. And Frank Thomas has really been driving the inside pitch, and there Kerry Wood throws the breaking ball out over the plate, and Frank Thomas whiffs on that particular pitch. But again, Kerry Wood against Frank Thomas did a pretty good job throwing to him, throwing away, away, away.
And you talk about Kerry Wood, and we talked about this actually coming back from the game at one point, that Kerry Wood just let him throw the ball. Over mechanics can sometimes ruin a guy like that, and all he did was throw the ball, and he was very successful.